player who consistently gets in there and does the job inside as a midfielder, but he can go forward and kick a goal or two. And he's not. There wouldn't be many players around that this club would be as proud and as happy for a player to reach such a significant milestone as Jude Bolton. He's done it all for this club.
And it just struck me, just thinking, well, gee, you don't see many games of footy where there are 200-300 gamers in the same team. And I had a quick look. I think Brad Johnson and Jason Ackermanis at the Bulldogs would have been the most recent example, and then maybe Alistair Lynch and Marcus Ashcroft at Brisbane before that. It doesn't happen a lot, David, at all.
Yes, we're through. It doesn't happen often, and it's rare for a player who makes the kind of commitment. I watched at television last night a 5 or 6 minute segment of him playing, highlight tapes. There are a couple of goals thrown in that were pretty smart and a couple of clever things down there. Every one of them was obliterating the pack or taking the ball out front of each other or being knocked into the next world, standing up and trying to walk backwards and pick up the ball and kick it. I've never seen such physical force exhibited, and he's run down he ran down somebody who was 3 times faster. It might have been Dangerfield, pulled him down. Unbelievable.
More from David, Craig Bolton, Ty Kennelly, Quentin Hull, Drew Morfitt and Shannon Byrne in just a moment on Grandstand AFL.
This Sunday from 10am, join me, Lippy Gore, for our weekly mix of people, ideas and motivational thought. As footy fever reaches its inevitable fever pitch, what's the true story behind the iconic footy anthem, Up There Kazali? And with VCE exams just around the corner, what do you need to know to maximise your chances of getting into the course you want? We'll give you a small day out. Make sure you're up with the news. That's Sunday with me, Libby Gore.
Joining the conversation on 774 ABC Melbourne. The AFL Final Series with ABC Grandstand.
Grandstand AFL.
Coming to you live on ABC Local Radio and on ABC Grandstand Digital.
On Grandstand Digital.
For those joining us, nice to have you along Grandstand AFL at the first of the preliminary finals for 2012. Quentin Hull and Drew Morfitt to call the action, with Craig Bolton and Ty Kennelly along with David Parkin in the box, Shannon Burns on the boundary line. And Sydney's turned it on. The stadium looks in terrific condition. The crowd continuing to build up. And, I think it was probably mid to low 20s when we were walking in about an hour ago. So really the conditions are going to be just perfect for this game between Sydney and Collingwood. There are no changes to the selected teams. So for Sydney, the sub is Luke Parker. And the emergencies, Trent Dennis-Lane, Tommy Walsh and Tony Armstrong are not required. While for Collingwood, Chris Dawes is out there. He warmed up. Yeah, a lot of strapping on his knee as expected, but he was able to move around, and we'll just wait to see indeed how he can move in the heat of battle. But the sub for Collingwood is Jamie Elliott, and the emergencies not required, Marty Clark, Jackson Payne and Paul Seedsman. So Parker the sub for Sydney, Elliott the sub for Collingwood. And, well, all manner of things thrown up around this game. And, Craig, I'll just go back to you for a moment. Take us into the rooms for this moment. You've had your warm-up. You're in there. Sometimes someone will be saying something. Sometimes it'll be quiet. What is it like in a football change room before you know that you could be playing your last game, or it could be, well, a game that got you to the big dance?
Well, I think it's where the rubber hits the road, if you like. There's been 2 weeks of waiting now for this Swan side. They're coming to this game where, like you said, there's every likelihood or the prospect that it is going to be the last game of the season. And any time you go into a game like that, it's a different feeling. So there's a lot on the line. There'll be the usual players, Jared McVeighs and the Adam Goods, who'll be out there and be quite vocal, the Jude Boltons. And then you'll have the younger players, the guys like Dan Hanbury and Lewis Jetta, probably not saying as much. But everyone will be getting ready in their own respective ways. But I think in a game like this where there's just so much riding on it, there's been, as Tig said, the build-up's been quite huge in Sydney this week. It's been quite different to what we usually see up here. There'll be a lot made about it. There's a lot riding on it. There'll be a sense of anticipation and nerves down there that is just really, that's what footy's about.
Can we ask you about John Longmire? Publicly, we know little about him. How would he manage this? What would you expect his demeanour to be, and maybe communication, if any? What do you see him delivering as a part of this build-up?
Well, Ty can probably give more accurate insight. He had a full year under him last year, but John's one himself who gets quite nervy and wound up in the moment. Like, he's so intense about his football, but he knows that coaches have such a, their state will spread throughout the team. So he's smart enough. He'll be going quite calm at the moment, going through the motions and making sure he's getting around to those players. But he'd be under no illusions. This is a huge opportunity for Sydney and for this town and for this club tonight.
And he would certainly be like that. He'll be calm and everything. And John's looked very, very good man management as well, so he is. And he knows players, and he knows which way to tickle the players themselves. And he spends a lot of time getting to know the players and getting to know them inside out, really. But more than anything else, not a whole lot will change from the Sydney game plan. And that's why you're confident that Sydney can get the win. Because if it's a round 20 game, or it's a final, or it's a preliminary final in front of 80,000 people, not a whole lot changes. And that's why Sydney are confident. And that's what John Norman will be telling his team. Let's win the contested football.
And Ty, if I could ask you to take us into the Collingwood scenario from the fact that you knew what it was like. You won in 2005. You got to preliminary final day again in 2006. And you basically trying to earn the right to get back to where you were last year. And that's where Collingwood is at. They're looking to make it 3 years in a row where they're at grand finals. Does it make it different to when you first experienced it in 05?
Look, a lot of people ask us, what...
Or even go back to 03, I suppose, when you were
exactly.
beaten by Brisbane here.
Look, to lose a preliminary final is heart-wrenching because you never got to that last dance. It's that moment where you don't get to enjoy that week of a grand final week. But, people often ask us, were you happy to lose a grand final in 06? You're not. It still hurts. You know what I mean? You don't want to lose a grand final. You get opportunities to win them. And Collingwood players will be hurting. This is an opportunity for them. They've got a lot of experience, and something's going to be on their side as they come out and onto the ground.
Time to watch feathers fly as the Magpies show who rules the sky, reads the Collingwood banner, and the familiar strains of the Collingwood theme song sound around the Olympic Stadium in Sydney as they run through the banner for yet another preliminary final. And Chris Dawes was among the first of them to run out. You had a good look at him, Drew. It's like you're warming up for the spring carnival, looking at the horse in the mounting yard.
He was kicking goals.
Would you back him?
And on the turn, and he wasn't just running in straight lines, he was moving left and right. He amazed me. I saw pictures of him arriving at the airport yesterday, and he was limping like an old croc, and I thought he was no hope of playing. But here he is.
It's a big risk, though, isn't it? I mean, if you take a player into a final of this magnitude and they are underdone and they have to come off early and get subbed out, or they do not have a good impact on the game, you're rolling the dice significantly there. So for Collingwood's sake, you'd hope he can have some impact.
Well, David, as the coach.
Can I just say it's more than that, because it actually says something about where Collingwood are in terms of their replacements, etc. And I think that's quite sad. Young Payne, in the opportunity, got too close to the end to actually build into it, so he was not even an alternative. Fit and well and ready to go, they've gone back to Dawes, who hasn't. He certainly contributed in the last 3 games in a reasonable fashion, but he's never ever got back to the form he had in the previous year. So you're asking a bloke to do a massively important job with a knee that is suspect on the back of form that's not good. That is a massive... He wouldn't have slept too well, I wouldn't have thought, for the last 3 or 4 days.
And you've been there in selection rooms and so forth. And I think it is one of the great intrigues of finals time, the great debate between the taking in the key injured player or getting a fully fit player who's not as capable.
Oh, well, like every coach, we go for the talent. We just sort of neglect the fact that he's got a shoulder that's been dislocated 3 times in the last 3 weeks, or he's got an ankle that if he turns over the first time, he's going to be off in the first 7 minutes. We just wipe that out of our minds and go for the talent. I've been guilty of that. Every single coach I know, without admitting it probably. I'm putting my hand up now, first time ever I've said it.
When did it bite you? If you could just give us an example where it bit you in a big game?
Yes, we played Kutafides in an early final and asked him on a crook knee, which didn't allow him to go on from that point. So we probably not only couldn't use him on the day, we then underwrote his demise for the rest of the final series. So,
but do you ever regret picking him?
No, well, and you always do afterwards, because you sometimes get over. You're sort of rewarded for doing it, despite the person didn't help you at all. You justify it.
There is a magnificent banner here for Jude Bolton's 300th game. Congratulations, Jude Bolton. 300 in gold. 300 games. A remarkable performance. He's missed only 8 games in his career. That's phenomenal.
It is, isn't it? It's unbelievable stuff. There's another Irishman who did something similar. He's not sitting next to me, but you had a fair run too for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, gold lettering for Jude Bolton as far as the 300. It's got stars on it. It is a terrific looking banner. And There's something aesthetically pleasing about these two teams because the red and the black, it's very easy to see. They always wear the traditional strips. It's going to be a terrific game of footy.
Well, you know, with Collingwood, their away strip, instead of being black and white, is white and black.
Exactly. And there's not many reds in the competition for Sydney to clash with. Craig Bolton, David Parkin, Ty Kennelly. Bolts, we'll start with you. Tell us how it's going to be won and lost.
Well, there's so many different areas where this can come down to. The bit I'm looking forward to is the battle of the midfields. Collingwood's midfield is all class. You know, Pendlebury, Swan, Thomas. Beams last time had 34 touches and kicked 3 goals, and he was the difference. Wellingham will drift in there. And Sydney, it's such an improved outfit in that side this year. You know, Kieran Jack, Daniel Hanbury, Josh Kennedy, who is, you know, perhaps arguably the premier midfield in the competition at the moment. They just cannot tackle him. He's a machine in terms of getting those balls out of the stoppage. So I think the midfield that can get on top early is going to give their forward line good use in the first quarter. Is going to play a huge role in how this game shapes out. I think the forward lines, there's going to be some key matchups. Ted Richards versus Cloak. I expect Teddy will go to Cloak. Whether or not Dawes can have an influence is going to have a huge influence on that contest because Heath Grundy, Marty Mattner, they'll roll out and try and double team against Cloak. So there's some great matchups down both ends. I'm looking forward to Reid versus Reid potentially. If that comes to fruition, that'll be just an absolute ripper. Just two young players still in the youth of their career, but have just shown so much. So if we can have a good battle there.
Do you expect they will get each other?
I would have thought so. I think there's going to be every chance. I think at some point during the night, I think there's going to be a lot of toing and froing. Who takes Adam Goods is another one that's going to affect that matchup. I think O'Brien will probably go to him, but
if he plays,
if he's playing,
I think you're right. The structure will depend on where the forwards hit up.
Exactly.
I would have thought Grundy might have got the Cloak if Cloak's driving up and Dawes is not able to do the work and is playing back. It'll be. I think the matchups and in the finish, the ruck you talked about the midfield. It's going to be a fascinating, I would have thought, Mumford and Pike versus Jolly almost on his own. And Jolly's been unbelievable. And they know each other, so there's quite an interesting little scenario there.
Jolly virtually coached him into Australian football.
But last week he single-handedly beat the 2 All-Australian ruckmen. So he was absolutely fantastic last week and took an awful lot of punishment, so he did in that game, you know. But I think both teams as well will try and play a loose back. Marty Mattner did it very well against Adelaide. Collingwood will do it fantastic with Ben Reid. The Swans will try and put maybe Lewis Roberts-Thompson on him to keep him honest. And Louis played well out here the last time they played against at Sydney. But again, it will go back to the midfield. You know, Collingwood kicked 6 goals last week down midfield, you know, and Thomas was up and about, and Swan kicked 2 and Beams kicked 2 and Pendlebury, you know. So their midfield is the battle. It's always there. But I think also in the last game when Swans played Collingwood, Tuvey played on Lewis Jetta and kept him very, very quiet. And that outside run has been invaluable and could be a moment in this game where you need a bit of an explosiveness when the game's going to be so tight and contested.
Are they going to run? Is Shaw, for instance, going to get a tag, a defensive forward?
I was going to bring that up, Parko. I think it's really interesting.
Heath Shaw.
Heath Shaw, Reshaw, who are we talking there?
I took Reshaw first of all for Sydney.
I think, potentially I think he's the one.
He's been so good. He's running at about 85% with his feet, and he's getting the ball enough to really hurt you. So there might be some consideration. Look, they don't. Collingwood tend not to run with them.
But Blair did a great job last week, so he did against West Coast, and he did very good as a defensive forward, so he did. And maybe, who knows if they're going to do that.
We're fascinated because we don't know, do we?
No,
the first thing we'll be here diving around to seeing what they've actually set. Are they going to Swan? Are they going to just let him go? Well, I would let him go because I don't think he hurts you as much as other people think. I'd be going for Beams. Beams has been, in my opinion, Pendlebury struggled a bit with injury. Beams has been their most effective player in the last 6 weeks.
And I think they'll probably go Kieran Jack. I'll be thinking that Jack would take him. I know Jack went him to the end of the last game around 20, that Kieran Jack went him the last quarter, and they'll be backing, Jack and Beams to try and keep him quite some bit and try and run off him as well.
Do you think we could get a Pendlebury versus Josh Kennedy as a head-to-head?
I reckon there's a good possibility that could be tonight.
Well, wouldn't it be fantastic if they let him go and let's see what they can do.
And you get the feeling goals from those small men are going to be so important. We've seen Beams do it a couple of times. Thomas, of course, last week. And a little guy that's not out there that we haven't spoken about, the loss of Ben McGlynn for Sydney. He's one of those little guys that has popped up and kicked 2 and 3 in little bursts, which have been so important in big games for Sydney.
Covers so much territory. Kicked a critical goal last time against these two sides. Cracker's another one for Collingwood. I mean, he's been a bit quiet last week, but he can pop up. Nick Smith will probably get the job on him when he's playing forward. Matchups all over the park, but I think it's a really interesting situation where you've got 2 contested sides and 2 great midfields, but publicly the Collingwood coaches said we're not going to tag, we're not going to really go hard in that respect.
I'm amazed at that.
Yeah,
I reckon that there are some players who really dislike it. Even Josh Kennedy against St Kilda was held to a very, very moderate output for the day because they assigned somebody, and it's no doubt, they didn't win the game, there's no doubt it helped St Kilda to stay in that contest for a lot longer.
Well, do you need a tag when there's going to be so many stoppages and 30 blokes around the ball so often?
What about a word for Josh Kennedy? Sydney are so good at developing players who come from other clubs. At Hawthorn, he was never going to be All-Australian, and he was never going to be one of the favourites for the Brownlow, which he is now.
He is developed into I've watched him pretty closely this year, and he's been we talk about Sydney's ability to develop these players, but credit to Josh himself as well. He's a tower of strength. You know, he's like 194 centimetres. He weighs almost 100 kilos. Plays as a key midfielder, and we'll see tonight again. They can't tackle him.
And
Gets
on
the
his
ball.
size bolts, he actually does no weights. He does very, very little weights because he's just naturally so big and so strong that he can't do it because he'd be enormous. So he would.
Well, true story. Remember, Tig, when he came to the club, the weights coach actually banned him from going in the weights room. He said, "You do not go in here. You look at weights and you put size on." And he was already too big as a midfielder, but. It's his greatest strength, the fact that he's got the strong hips and the strong legs, and he can take that initial contact and then give off that effective handball.
He's built like a rugby union lock, really, with that the height and the broadness across the shoulders, yet the narrowness, yet strength through the hips. You see that? I mean, he wouldn't look out of place in a goal jumper on this ground right here.
He's a brute like his father. His father was not as clever. Well, I hope John's not listening. not as clever, not as technically sound, but had that unbelievably powerful physicalness with a big barrel chest. He was very hard. Grandfather was pretty slow and not...
He wasn't much chop.
I hope he's not listening. He's not listening.
Well, we're about to have the anthems. Shannon Byrne at boundary side. The crowd's building up. It's not packed, but how's it feeling down there?
Yeah, they're still streaming in, which is a positive sign. And as you mentioned before, there wasn't as many Collingwood supporters as there are now. At least 30% would be Collingwood supporters, and already we know that there was 50,000 sold only 2 days ago. Just quickly on coaches as well, first prelim for Nathan Buckley. He went to run up the stairs next to me. They had to grab him and say, no, you're actually needed out for proceedings. So remember, we've got fairly 2 new coaches as well.
So Craig Willis, the master of ceremonies for the anthem before the preliminary final.
We stand to the Australian national anthem.
Unmistakably the sound of September as the two teams break. Collingwood run to the southern end where their big bank of black and white clad supporters are, and just go through the final warm-ups. And Sydney up at the Cauldron or northern end of the Olympic Stadium. David, can we trust these two guys for an unbiased tip? What do you reckon? I'm going to defer to you first.
Hang on. They're playing Collingwood. They got 3 in the box that are unbiased. Well, totally and utterly biased. There's the change in the game over the last 10 years. I look down, there's a coach with his 22 players' arms around. On the bench, 26 people in their uniforms out there as well. Every bloke who's running around tonight, there's a fella running behind saying, how can I help you? I reckon it's unbelievable. You can imagine that 10 or 15 years ago.
We'll just have a look at the toss with Scott Pendlebury tossing the coin in Nick Maxwell's absence. Adam Goods is there as well. And first blood to the Bloods. Adam Goods winning the toss, and Sydney will attack the Cauldron end in the first quarter.
Can I make just a selfish comment here? Number 9, the umpire, Matt Stevick, He missed the grand final, I think, last year. Was on the bench for it. Graduate student of mine, fantastic young man. I spoke to him during the week. You reckon the players are nervous? You want to try and umpire this game this way, Bailey said. This will be the toughest inside game. He said, I'll be looking through 22 bodies every time they get which is fair comment. So, while it's hard to play, and we understand that, difficult to coach, the most difficult job tonight will be to umpire this game.
And you have to make a decision about every 8 seconds.
Well, tough, isn't it?
And in your learned opinion, the winner is?
I am going for Sydney on the basis I think the emotion for Collingwood can't carry them twice.
Craig.
Yeah, I'm going for Sydney, and by a bit actually. I think it'll be close up until three-quarter time, but I think the emotional and the physical toll from Collingwood, I can't see how they can go with them for the whole game.
I'm going for Sydney, but I'm a bit nervous about it. There's a lot of players out there that haven't played in big games for Sydney as well. It's the first preliminary final since 2006. Collingwood do it. There's 4 years in a row they're going for grand finals. So look, it's a big one, but Sydney just.
Well, I mean,
gee, the onus is on us.
Well, you're in trouble.
We're in a lot of strife here.
You know your rule.
We don't have to give tips.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Come on.
I'm going to go for the Swans.
Swans, and
on the basis that they've had the week off.
22 out of 25 preliminary final winners who have had the week off. So that's Sydney. Come on, 21 of 24. That's enough.
Sydney was one of them to lose in 2003.
Yeah, exactly.
You have just given Collingwood a chance. Every time the ABC box goes wholest to one team, they always lose.
I think they had a chance before coming here. They haven't lost here for
I might change that
2005.
Change it. You've got a 5-minute interlude to make up your mind, right?
Enjoy with us on Grandstand AFL. The last week for one team. A ticket to the grand final for the other. I think they had a chance before coming here. They haven't lost here for
I might change that
2005.
Change it. You've got a 5-minute interlude to make up your mind, right?
Enjoy with us on Grandstand AFL. The last week for one team. A ticket to the grand final for the other. Here's the best caller in the land. Should we roll out that line, Drew? 2 more to get you underway.
Brett Rosebery, the umpire, gets us underway. A massive bounce. Neither ruckman a clear tap. First kick of the game to Adam Goods. It goes out wide towards the wing on the far side of the ground. Clash of bodies. They hit the deck really hard. Out at centre wing, and it's gathered by Blair. His hand pass is chopped off and worked towards the boundary line. And Pike did well to see the ball out and to stop that little sortie forward.
And you can see Heath Grundy's picked up actually. Travis Clark and Teddy Richards are staying deep on Dawes, and on the other side Lewis Roberts Thompson is trying to keep Reid honest, and he's Chris Clarence on the other Reid.
Jolly pumps beautifully down to Pendlebury, and he kicks the pies up towards centre half forward. Awkward bouncing ball gets away from Dawes, but a chance for Fasolo. He's inside the centre square. He goes to ground. He heels the ball back, and it comes to shore of Sydney. A high ball back towards the bullseye. Roved in front by Beams. Side bottoms kick is smothered. Comes to the Swans. Pike puts them out in the clear. 1 against 1 inside 50. Reid gets back for Collingwood, and Roberts Thompson bowls him over on the boundary line. Has it gone out? It has stayed alive. Kept alive by Goods with a hand pass over his head. It's close to the boundary line in the Swans forward pocket, and eventually out it goes. Terrific contests everywhere. No score, but what a start.
Oh, I'm hyperventilating already. This is unbelievable.
Take it easy. Long way to go, David. Great start. Ball thrown in at the northern end. Mumford taps down to no one. But picking it up now is Jack. Tried to get out a hand pass. It bobbles back to Mumford. 3 Magpies descend on him. Locked up in the pocket. It comes out to O'Keefe. Slaps it on his left boot and up and under to the square. Roberts Thompson has to fist. It bobbles around and then his hand pass through for a point. And it's the first score of the game. A behind to Sydney.
Well, you picked up the first one. It's Tooby got Jeddah. I think, is that the same as last time?
Yeah, it is. Exact same. Marco.
Ball in. Oh, Reid almost takes the mark and chops the ball off. He just couldn't handle it, and it's gone over the boundary line, and we get a boundary throw, and that is Sam Reid for the Sydney Swans playing forward, and he's playing on O'Brien. Here's the throw in the Swans forward pocket. They've done all the attacking so far. It's worked down. Pendlebury gathers. Hand pass chopped off by McVeigh. His hand pass goes back, taken by Alex Johnson of the Swans. A high ball to full forward, punched out to the front to Kennedy, who snaps across his body and kicks the first goal of the prelim. Josh Kennedy, Swans on the board in the first 2.5 minutes.
But great start for the Swans. They've looked very, very sharp, so they have got the ball inside 50 a couple of times, and it's Collingwood trying to keep the ball in there. Nearly turned over the kick-off from Sam Reid and just got the ball in there. Lewis Roberts Thompson's competed 3 or 4 times now in the first 3 minutes, and obviously he's keeping Reedy very, very honest and can't drop off him. And great from Josh Kennedy. Lovely clean hands to gather it in one take, and the snap was fantastic, and great start from the Swans.
So we got those matchups Richards on Dawes, who's deep. Yep. Grundy's got Cloak, who's just out that mid-range between full forward and centre half forward.
As we anticipated, yeah.
Yep.
And gentlemen, last week, Gorsak as well. Alex Johnson. Gorsak was fantastic last week, so I'll be interested to see how he goes tonight.
Centre bounce, Jolly got it down, and Swans there for Collingwood to kick the ball towards centre half forward for the Pies. Sinclair the target, beaten in a one-on-one by Reece Shaw, who read the flight well and takes a mark for Sydney. Spears a pass to the back straight wing, marked by McVeigh for the Swans. And stagnant play now, as it's pretty much manned up downfield. He kicks towards right half forward flank. It went over the pack of the flying Roberts Thompson, who was the leading target, and Adam Goods finds himself again at the drop of the footy. Takes a mark, 60 out, kicks hard to the pocket, looking for Morton. O'Brien's there in company. O'Brien spoils and has the friend in the boundary line to see it over, and a throw in to be effected right full forward for Sydney.
And what have we got, Ty, that we're waiting for?
Yeah,
what
we got Pendlebury and Kennedy on each other. It's fantastic to see.
Yeah. At the throw in, it's worked to the front. Hurried kick by Thomas for Collingwood. Out of defence. It's gathered at half forward for the Swans, but a magnificent tackle by Cracker. The ball's dislodged, but it comes to Shaw of Sydney. Short pass and Goods marks right in front, 40 out.
Shaw has been dominant already, doing the very thing that we talked about. Gets himself free, used the ball magnificently under pressure then to hit the target. I'd be absolutely lacing him up early. If he gets confident and goes, you'll never ever see him for the rest of the game.
Reece Shaw, after delivering the pass to Goods, has come straight to the bench. And Adam Goods, the Swans captain, kicking from 45 right in front. It's high, it's long, and just away to the left and through for a minor score. Should have been scoring from there. The Swans 1-1, Collingwood yet to score.
So it's Heath Shaw to kick in, and he goes short. The mark taken by Ben Reid, who wears the same number as his brother, number 20. He kicks to left half back. Tarrant takes the grab at the point where the 50-metre arc meets the boundary line. Tarrant on his left boot drives to a contest on the outer wing. Sam Reid flew, but Ted Richards marked. Sydney's ball. Richards in the pack there with clean hands to send it back forward for the Swans. On the right boot, he kicks into Dawes on the man on the mark. Good smother from Dawes over the boundary line, so a wasted chance there for Sydney. Ball to be thrown in on the back straight wing.
An injured Dawes has got the sort of size. That's what he's got to do. Just get in the way and make a presence.
Well, both ruckmen got in the way of each other there as the ball was thrown in. No whistle. Tumbling ball to half forward for Collingwood. Free kick against Sinclair. Play under advantage. Nick Smith takes the kick, but the umpire says come back, and the free kick will go to Marty Matner at right half back.
He puts the ball out wide to Grundy, back from suspension, who kicks half back to half forward, and it's knocked away from Mumford, and the ball out of play, and we get a throw in down towards Sydney's half forward flank, and they've been in attack for most of the game and lead 8 points to 0 against the Pies. At the throw in, Pike works it down to the front, sharked by Beams, who's bowled over straight away. Kennedy grabs it and stands in a tackle. Sensational play, but loses it. Cracker, a little hand pass away. Blair flares the ball out wide to Thomas, centre wing for the Pies. Beautiful pass down the line, and Wellingham has taken the mark. He goes for the short pass to Blair, who'd followed up. Hand pass to Pendlebury, cruising towards the 50. Off the left, Collingwood, their best chance so far. Marking contest. No mark. It gets over the behind line. Yes, or maybe into the behind post. Yes, it'll be a throw in. So it is no score as yet, and Sydney lead 1-2-0.
So ball thrown in right forward pocket for Collingwood. Jolly battles Mumford, tap to the front, and it's Hanbury's ball. He thumps it on his boot and clears the danger to the vacant centre of the ground. Chasing back is Nathan Brown. LRT's after him, hassles him, the ball bobbles 3. It's Reid of Collingwood's ball. He cleans up and hand passes to O'Brien, and the Pies can settle here. O'Brien kicks wide, mark taken by Heath Shaw, defensive side of the western wing. Sydney 1-2-8, Collingwood yet to score. Heath Shaw looks inward and backward and kicks back to defensive 50, marked by Ben Reid. He gives to Johnson, the veteran. Johnson on his trusty left, a bit of a wobbly kick to the western wing, and it's out of bounds on the full. Free kick for Sydney to be taken by Johnson.
And well played by Mitch Morton, forcing him onto his actually wrong side.
That was great. Into Hanbury, hand pass to McVeigh, a long kick in the direction of Morton, but it beats him over the boundary line in the forward pocket, and the Swans will get another throw in alongside the behind post.
And Morton came into the side a couple of weeks ago against Adelaide. He was terrific that day. Hasn't played much senior footy this year. He's been very successful in the twos all year, and he's an X factor in the forward line.
Mumford, both the ruckmen in. But it comes down to Pendlebury, who's tackled high. Surely no whistle on the play.
Holding
and
the ball.
now it's a holding the ball against Collingwood, and it's a Swans free kick right in front.
I think that was paid against Pendlebury.
It was for holding the ball. I mean,
that's your boy, Parker.
I'm just marking the pluses and the minuses down on the right-hand side here. What no prior opportunity really. It was an instantaneous tackle.
So O'Keefe, who laid the tackle that looked high, gets the goal, and the Swans are 2-2 to nothing.
If they're going to do it, they're going to have to be consistent with all night for doing these calls, and that's what we're going to be looking for. But, it's a finals game of football. You want the ball to be let go and game let go, but disappointing. Very stiff form.
They look sharp, Sydney. They look a lot sharper than Collingwood at the moment. They're slick hands. They're getting their hands on the footy a lot more. Collingwood have hardly touched it to date, and they're driving forward. So Collingwood have really got to stem the flow here, try and get their hands on the footy and slow it down, which is ironically what they tried to do, but Ben Johnson obviously kicked it out in the full, which gave Sydney an opportunity then.
Just a quick one on the crowd, guys. People are still coming in. I reckon we're going to nudge 70,000 here. The capacity for an oval field is 82,500.
Shannon Byrne on the boundary. Sydney 2-2. Collingwood yet to trouble the scorer. At the centre bounce, Jolie got the telling tap. Crashing through for the Magpies with Blair. A rush kick towards half forward. Nice work from Goldsack to hand pass to Beams. Beams over the top. His hand pass. Looking for side bottom. Had it and was tackled. Great pressure from Bird. And it falls to shore of the Swans. His rush kick clear. He's going to come back in as he's kicked it to Dane Swan. And the three-time Copeland Trophy winner has it on the outer wing. Swan on the right boot. A high ball towards full forward. Cloak's got 3 to beat. Comes to the front of the pack. Smith's hand pass. Well, he got it to Mattner and his hand pass is turned over. It ends up with Dawes, who snaps and goals. Collingwood's first goal of the game. And there's a bit of a dust up afterwards as well. Now Chesky seems to be the centre of the ire of the Collingwood players. A bit of jumper pulling, and now it's diffused. But Dawes kicks the first goal of the game for Collingwood. Sydney 2-2. The Pies won straight.
And we just saw a snapshot of what we're going to see a lot of tonight. Ted Richards rolling off Dawes as the ball went long into Cloak. Helped in the contest in the air, but Dawes smart enough to come in and make an impact at ground level. And he's going to have to do that all night because Ted Richards will roll off and roll off and roll off and continue to support Grundy on Cloak. But he played the game well then, Dawes. He got to the front of the contest.
And that's going to be in Teddy's head now. He's going to think twice about going third man up here, so he is from now on.
Dawes might have paid his way already with the first goal for the Pies. This ball comes down to Beams, who's bowled over. Spills to Pendlebury, hand pass to Swan. Standing start, a high ball to half forward. Cracker! Oh, clever! Same direction as the ball. He marked overhead. Unbelievable. Just outside the 50. Tries to run around Smith, but has to kick over the man on the mark, and Richards is back. Thought it was a mark. Umpire didn't play it. Play on. And it's going to be a ball up about 20 metres out.
That's a bit sad. The umpires are under pressure. Had a mistake made at that end, and another one made at that end. That was a clean catch. It stopped in the hands. That is a mark.
Bounce in the goal now for Collingwood. Jolly taps down, but only to his old teammate McVeigh, who's swamped, still in the chop. Chance for Fazolo. Hand pass to Beams, who snapped from similar to where he kicked the late goal in the round 20 game. Not a goal there, though. It rolled through for a point. And Collingwood moved to 1-1-7, trailing Sydney's 2-2-14.
The good thing for Collingwood is that Fasolo, who's been up and down a bit and round about, he's released both those hand passes from under pressure situations and given the opportunity to score. Well done.
Reece Shaw. He bowled a no ball. He hesitated and came out of the square before he kicked it, and it's going to be balled up on the edge of the goal square.
That was unusual, wasn't it?
We had the free man in Shaw breaking for him, and he almost just mistimed his run up, didn't he?
I think Goldsack actually dropped off to cover Reece Shaw's run, and he saw it, Nick, and he changed his mind late.
That was Malchesky actually who kicked that.
The beards are confusing me back there in defence. Here's the ball up. It comes to side bottom, who snaps, but he misses from about 15 metres out behind.
Good spell for Collingwood here.
Yeah, they were blocked early, but they're coming back.
They're certainly settled.
Interesting one we spoke about. Dane Beams, it doesn't look as if there's a hard tag on him. A few Sydney players rotating through on Dane Beams.
Well, now there's a 50-metre penalty for the man standing on the mark from the kicking, encroaching. So Malchesky's brought to centre half back, with Fasolo taking a toenail over the wrong spot, according to the umpire. Malchesky on his left boot, drives towards right half forward, reads the target and takes the mark. Sam Reid, a kick and a half from goal. Hand passes over the top to McVeigh. Has some space to run to 50. Has a shot from a tough angle on the run. Oh, hits the post. Hits the post. Measured it. Went for it. The stick got in the way. 2-3-15 to 1-2-8 Sydney by 7 points.
Both the speed of leg movement, the speed over the ground, and the speed of ball movement, the combination of that's made it absolutely exhilarating footy.
Doesn't change over the years, does it, Parker? The ball moves a lot quicker in the air.
Heath Shaw kicks to himself and then kicks with distance. Well outside the 50. 2 against 2. Good mark. Hauled in by Jolly. At right half back for the Pies. They've made a bit of a comeback in the last 5 minutes. Kick to centre wing. A collision of bodies. Oh, and maybe Fasolo's hurt his shoulder. He limped straight to the bench. He was right there, only metres away. And now, as a holding the ball decision.
Teddy Richards, unbelievable courage.
He's hurt too and limping from the ground.
He'll struggle to come back from that, I can tell you.
Free kick to Matner. He goes across to Malcheski to Shaw. Shaw runs through centre half back for Sydney. Short passes, dangerous. Contest just behind the circles. Gathered by Smith for Sydney. Through O'Keefe it goes. Back to Reece Shaw. He squares the ball up. It's too high. It goes over the head of Jetta. And now it's a contest at ground level. Malcheski throws himself at it and is slung to ground. The umpire circles and is going to ball it up in midfield.
Well, that's no different to Pendlebury's in the sense of where he's grabbed and taken the ground, couldn't do anything about it. Right decision, ball up. Wrong decision, free kick against Pendlebury.
And Filoso, guys, just a bit very winded on that clash, and they've just got Ted Richards too. He's got a cork, so he's limping around, but both are up and just getting a bit of attention, so good news.
Wellingham with the clearance, slaps a kick to half forward. It bounces in vacant space, and McVeigh's the first man to make a telling play. Has it for Sydney, hands it to Bird. Bird's chip kick marked by Jenner on the wing. He takes on Wellingham and burns him off. He's got support in Jack. The hand pass inboard finds Jack. He then onto O'Keefe, 70 out. O'Keefe, long ball to the goal mouth, an ill-conceived kick. 2-on-1 against for Sydney there. And the mark taken by Tarrant, with Morton really having no chance there against Tarrant and also Harry O'Brien.
Kick by Tarrant close to the boundary line. Swan is there, clears his head and goes out of play at half-back.
And the ironies of modern sport, AFL preliminary final in Sydney, NRL preliminary final in Melbourne tonight. 10 minutes in, the Melbourne Storm 4, lead Manly 0.
Solo's back on, sorry for Collingwood, but Ted Richards still in the hands of the trainers. Left knee, a bit of a concern.
Jolly against Pike. Pike wins it, comes to Hanbury, who toes the ball round the boundary line, and it's taken in defence there by Sidebottom, but he stepped over the boundary line before getting his kick away, so it'll be a throw-in back towards the 50 in attack for the Sydney Swans. They've been doing most of the attacking and lead 2-3 to 1-2.
Ball tossed in. Pike rattles there with Dawes. Pendlebury tries to crash through, didn't get it. Hanbury does. Pendlebury has him. Pendlebury goes again. McVeigh's got him. It's in the chop. Dawes, he couldn't get it clear. Now he's got his body over the ball trying to pick it up. Still all at left half forward for Sydney. O'Keefe tries to get it clear. His hand pass to Jack. He's tackled. The best football you'll see in the space of 5 metres. And then Beams kicks it clear to get it clear of the congestion to the wing for Collingwood. And it's seen over the boundary line.
That's what you like to see. Let it go. Let the game go on this pressure. Let it go. Let them put themselves under the pump.
Oh, how was that little sequence there? How was that little sequence there to get hold of it and get it out? Oh, it was unbelievable.
Sydney lead by 7 points. Whistle on the throw-in and a free kick to Kennedy. So Kennedy on the western wing for Sydney. He kicks to the fat side of the ground. He's got Mumford and Jetta. Mumford's going to shepherd Tooby. Allow Jetta to pick up. Jetta runs to 45. On the run, he has a ping and puts it across the face and misses everything. It had the makings.
It was well constructed. It was a great call from Jetta to get Mumford to shepherd for him, running into a goal. You'd back him 9 times out of 10 from there.
No score. Sydney 2-3-15. Collingwood 1-2-8. Grandstand AFL 17 minutes first term.
Free kick taken in by Reid for Collingwood, and a mark for Thomas at Collingwood, who in a burst in the third quarter last week pretty much won the game for the Pies. 3 goals in 7 minutes, but this time his kick is smothered on the mark by McVeigh. Has a look at his fingers, just making sure they're still all there, and it's a throw in below us.
Second one we've seen tonight. Something as basic as getting off the mark.
Here's Dawes having a go on the ruck, but Mumford beats him. Shark by Beams. His hand pass nearly taken away by Bird. Now O'Keefe to McVeigh. Slings a hand pass blindly. Running onto a Jude Bolton in game 300. Off to LRT. Hand pass to Kennedy from the boundary line to the goal square. But Heath Shaw's back there in defence for the Pies.
Shaw short. to Swan. Swan takes the mark, and Reid almost had his back to the hand pass as it was coming to him, but Ben Reid's able to gather in the last line for Collingwood. Drives a kick over left, half back. That's a good kick to the advantage of Heath Shaw. He gathers, goes to ground, but it's got support. Ben Johnson receives the hand pass, kicks towards the left half forward flank. Sets Cloak a chase. Cloak gathers just before the boundary. Defensive hand pass to Sinclair. About 80 out. A poor kick though. Sinclair's kick is marked by Nick Smith. And Sydney's ball at right half back.
That kick, just a critical one. In the hands of a good ball user there, that's almost a scoring opportunity, but it's a turnover on half back, and now Sydney get an opportunity going the other way.
And Ted Richards is down the tunnel. He's gone off to get treatment on his left ankle.
Free kick to Goods up here, just forward of the wing on the far side. Swans lead 15-8, and Goods taken before he could take clean possession. Kick, and Kennedy charges at it and hauls down a terrific mark on a fast lead.
Against a big-bodied key defender in Brown, and we spoke about his size and his versatility. He's already shown, we spoke about his ability in the stoppages to win the ball in that contested situation, but we've already seen his crumbing ability, kicking the first goal of the match, and now taking a fantastic mark on the lead. Josh Kennedy is a star.
He's wide out. He's 50 metres from goal. This for his second goal tonight. The All-Australian Josh Kennedy. He's got the distance. What a kick that is. But across the face and misses to the far side. Through for a minor score. But boy, oh boy.
Well, let's be honest, they're keeping in a minute. Yeah, that's, they've got, you're right, they've got, other than about a 3 or 4 minute period there, they've absolutely smashed them, but they haven't killed them on the scoreboard. They're keeping them alive.
Heath Shaw very short. Johnson marks in the left back pocket. Hand passes to Reid. The Collingwood variety. He kicks the left half back. A wobbly kick. Dawes mops up, but his hand pass under pressure turned over. Kennedy of Sydney gives to Goods. Goods kicks a great one. Marked by Bird. 45 metres or so out. Slight angle to the right. And this is a player that's become more and more important to Sydney in the last couple of months, Craig Bolton.
Yeah. A player with huge raps. I mean, came into the side. You don't get given the number 14 at South Melbourne or Sydney if you haven't got potential. But he's really come into his own this season, particularly the last month. He's been a terrific player.
Oh, got very close to man.
Looking for his 12th goal of the season. He sets it high and again across the face, and another behind to the Swans. 7 scoring shots to 3, and they lead by 9 points. 2-5-17 plays 1-2-8. Quentin Hull, Drew Morfitt, Craig Bolton, Ty Kennelly, David Parkin and Shannon Byrne with you on ABC Local Radio's Grandstand AFL.
And in the NRL preliminary final, Melbourne Storm lead Manly 8-0. Heath Shaw kicks in for Collingwood with distance, looking for Jolly. Over the top of him goes Thomas to take the mark. Thomas's little poke up towards the wing for Solo on a hard lead. Marks overhead, under pressure from Smith. Solo squares the ball into Thomas. Goes for a further short pass to Johnson. Pretty much true centre wing still. The kick by Ben Johnson with more penetration. Inside the 50. Cloak hands to it, but no mark. It comes to the front and it's all Sydney, but an awkward bounce. Good tackle laid by Cloak just outside the 50. It spills to Cracker. Hand pass to Johnson on his favoured left. Hooks it up towards the goal square. Sydney have numbers. And a comfortable mark taken by Shaw.
Poor ball use again by Collingwood. It certainly was something that affected them in the first half last week against West Coast, was poor ball use inside 50 and needed to lower his vision.
Tell you what, if Shaw and Malcheski go to Glenrowan, people will think that they're part of some tourist attraction. The ball kicked out of defence for the Swans. On the wing, it's a 50-50. Thomas tries to gather. Couldn't. Mumford bends down the big man to get it for the Swans. Hands to Hanbury. Hands to McVeigh. Hands to Bird. Sydney are out. Hands to Jack on the wing. He sweeps to McVeigh. The kick finds Jeddah in the middle of the ground. 2-on-2 forward of him. So he kicks long. Morton the target. Oh, he dropped the mark he should have taken, but Roberts Thompson rose and will run into an open goal and kick Sydney third. Well, Mitch Morton drew the 2 men, mainly because he should have swallowed the mark. But LRT there to scoop it up, and Sydney has a 15-point lead. The Swans 3-5-23, Collingwood 1-2-8.
Terrific contest by Morton, but polar opposites. The way they're bringing the ball forward, Collingwood are having real trouble getting any fluidity or any sort of smooth movement through the middle of the ground. It's very static, it's very slow. Sydney, on the other hand, they get the ball in their back line, they break, and there is so much space ahead of them upfield there. They get the ball in the hands of Lewis Jeddah. He looks upside. He's got 2 players, one-on-one inside the forward 50. We have not seen that at the other end going forward for Collingwood.
He's kicked better than a goal a game this season, Lewis Roberts-Thompson, the former defender. That was terrific. Pendlebury out of the middle with a clearance. The ball out in front of Cracker, who's ridden into the ground and will take a free kick against Reece Shaw. Remarkable story, Cracker, back from a knee Rico in the same season to be playing finals football. The kick deep inside 50. Sinclair roves a ball close to the boundary line. Swan actually keeps the ball in, centres the ball, and it jolted out of there, out of defence, and it comes Collingwood's way, and a shot for goal by Goldsack is offline, and he misses to the right-hand side. Another former defender being a defensive forward now.
And guys, still no sign of Ted Richards, but Luke Parker just keeping warm here on the bench with the green vest on.
Matner kicks in, and it's marked by Malcheski. Well read with Swan coming back at him. Tracked back and took the mark in front of his eyes, backing back. Did Nick Malcheski?
And the coppers at Glenrowan wouldn't know who to knock off for murder, would they? They're identical.
Malcheski long with the left boot. He's the left footer. Does he shoot with his left hand?
You guys are going to have to give Tiger history lesson on Australia. I think he's looking at you. He's going, Glenrowan, what is this place?
Ball is fisted off it back over the boundary line. Just think of Bushrangers, mate.
Right. He's been driving past her every second week and he doesn't know what he's been missing.
Ball thrown in, just attacking side of the wing for Collingwood, who trail by 14 points. Under the pack, it's pretty tough in there again. A wall of bodies around the football. Johnston got a little hand pass there to Goods, whose rush kick is straight to Tarrant. And here's a chance for Collingwood to set up. Tarrant just ahead of halfway, but he decides to kick it into the defensive half.
Well, Sydney have got a loose back, and they've got to work out how to engage that man, because at the moment there's no one to kick to.
It's Nick Malcheski. Actually, here he is now trying to go for the contest as well.
Tarrant to Ben Reid. Long kick inside 50 for Collingwood. To a pack, and McVeigh roves. His snap clear is smothered over the boundary line by Cloak. So a throw in to be effected with Collingwood in attack in the left forward pocket. Sydney 3-5-23. Lead the Magpies 1-3-9.
Approaching the 25-minute mark. Comes to Goods. His hand pass puts Bolton under pressure. He slings a hand pass out in the path of Wellingham, who loses it. Balls over the crowd. The Swans have it. Hand pass by McVeigh. Hits outside 50. Hanbury. He gives it to Jetta, who's off to the races. There's nobody in front of him. They'll never catch him. He bounces a couple of times, 3 times, and takes it about 90 metres to kick the goal.
That could be Ben Barber tomorrow night. It was like the fullback running 80 metres to score.
That's the closest thing I've seen to a rugby league touchdown in the game. That was unbelievable. And it's setting up all the time, isn't it, Bolts? They are pressing hard, getting the space out the back, and they've got the delivery and the leg speed to absolutely hurt them. That is a sensational goal in terms of what our game doesn't often give us. And
no, you're right. You don't see that very often, do you? You knew he was going to score from the moment he got it in his hands, though, because there's not many blokes in the league that could hunt him down.
And there was some fantastic hard ball gets as well in there by Sydney, and really quick hands, and just kept their heads over the football and was able to get the ball out to Lewis Jetta. But look, it's fantastic to see with that open space is no one better with the ball in hand than Lewis Jetta.
Only early, but concerning time here for Collingwood. Sydney's lead 20 points. They get the clearance here. Jolly to Pendlebury to Thomas. Quick kick towards attacking 50. Off the pack, Cracker tries to rove. There's a free kick though. It's going for Solo's way. He was manhandled by Bird, or is it Smith?
Correct.
At Nick Smith.
Yeah, correct decision.
So Alex Fasolo will have to clear 50 metres. The man on the mark just inside the 50, slight angle to the right. He's kicked 27 goals this year. How's his right boot? Into the man on the mark. That's the third time we've seen that tonight. Ricochet Sydney's way. Hanbury hand passes to Goods. Tried to run through them. Got into trouble. Back in Collingwood's hands. Beams to Jolly. Jolly's to Swan. Swan's kick smothered. Smothered. Close to the boundary line. Nick Smith is there. He can't get a kick clear. Fasolo tries to bullet through. Hanbury picks it up. Whacks it around his body. Pendlebury. He's a chance to pick up on the wing. Morton pressures. O'Brien picks up. He's tackled. Got rid of him again. Ario puts it on his left boot and his kick is over the head of Beam. Reshaw can't mark, but he'll run away.
This has been played at a phenomenal pace, and a little kick on the outside of the boot is marked by Morton on centre wing. He kicks long for Goods. Goods gets it going goalwards, but loses sight of the ball. Grabbed by Johnson at Collingwood. Hand pass back and side bottom kicks perfectly to O'Brien, who marks near the back edge of the centre square. Frenetic football, but Sydney lead by 20 points in time on first quarter. O'Brien runs around O'Keefe on the mark to Johnson, back to O'Brien, galloping like he used to do in the good old days, and he's passed to centre half forward, marked by Sinclair. Off he goes, and Pendlebury goes long towards the goal square, and the mark is taken in the square by Cloak, and this will be a Collingwood goal.
And finally we saw it, didn't you? It was clear as day, just a really nice lead-up target, one-on-one, quickly wheeled around, gets a one-on-one contested situation inside forward 50. Haven't seen it to date, and this is the result you get.
Cloak from point-blank range gets the Pies' second goal. They're 2-3, trailing the Swans 4 goals 5 at the 28-minute mark.
Well, he for the first time, running through the middle with a bit of time and space, not often they've had it, mind you, he lowered his vision, saw the bloke coming at him and put it onto his body. That backman can't beat that, as you all know. It's impossible to beat. And then Cloak, so good in that body tussle down there. He removed his opponent totally off the drop zone and took what was a very difficult mark so easily.
Which reminds us, where's Ted Richards up to, Shannon?
Well, he's in the hands of the physio. It looked like the physio gave him some bad news, but the physio is sitting next to him, talking to him at length, but he's not warming up and keeping that left ankle warm, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a change here at quarter time.
And he got his ribcage rattled pretty severely as well.
Right. I think it was his knee, but it's interesting.
No, he got his knee tested. It's his left ankle. It's his whole left leg they're concerned with.
Thanks, Shannon. Centre bounce, no clearance, and we'll see a secondary bounce about 10 metres, should I say, closer to Sydney's goal. Closing stages, opening term. Sydney lead by 14 points. A bit of a wobbly bounce and thumped clear of the congestion by Collingwood, but only to Goods, who picks up, sweeps a hand pass inboard to Reece Shaw, who is aided by Shepherd, defensive side of the bullseye, and has a run to the outer wing. He's kicked very wide, looking for Sam Reid. Doesn't find the target. Morton is able to pull it in though. 55 out close to the line, and he snaps it back to the goal mouth, and Jude Bolton gets to the drop to take an uncontested chest mark 15 metres out. Well, it seemed like it was going to come unstuck a couple of times there.
Watch Lewis Robert Thompson's job here. Look at that. Unbelievable Shepherd on Tooby to keep him out without giving away the free kick.
Jude Bolton in his 300th game to kick a goal late in the first term of the prelim, and he does. It will mean little if they don't win the game, but it'll be a nice part of a speech if indeed they do win the game tonight. Jude Bolton with a goal. Sydney back out by 20. 5-5, 35 to 2-3, 15. Just seemed to be rushed in.
Gee, I tell you, Morton's playing his role, isn't he?
He's just doing it.
Yeah,
it's only his 4th game for the season, 4th game for the club.
You know what he is? He's lively. That's the sort of player he is, and he's a player over the years who doesn't always give that consistent contribution, but when he's on, he's a player that's really hard to match up on the opposition, and he provides a real handful for the direct opponent.
He's causing things to happen. That's what he's doing.
That's back in the middle. Mumford mistimed his jump. Jolly wins the hit out. Comes to Hanbury. Gets the hand pass away to O'Keefe, who kicks it a mile from a standing start. Work to the front by LRT. It's out near the 50. Gathered by Beams off the deck. Hand pass to O'Brien. Under pressure, he put the hand pass in the air. Roberts Thompson gathers, but his hand pass knocked down. It comes to Thomas through Brown. Brown gets it back from Beams, and a good little sidestep in there by Tooby. He works the ball off to Johnson, who kicks poorly towards the 50. It should have been marked by Reid of Sydney, who dropped an absolute pud. It comes to Shaw, and Reece Shaw goes to ground. Well, that's an excellent start to the game by the Swans. And again, like last time, the Pies find themselves behind early with plenty of work to do. The Swans 5-5, 35, lead Collingwood 2 goals 3, 15. The margin 20 in favour of Sydney at the first change. Goals for O'Keefe, Kennedy, Bolton, Roberts, Thompson and Jetta. And for Collingwood, Dawes and Cloak, the 2 big fellas, 1 each.
So Sydney by 20 points at quarter time. More to come from the Olympic Stadium with our experts Craig Bolton, David Parkin and Ty Kennelly on the other side of this. You're listening to Grandstand AFL.
Pendlebury with 8, Thomas with 7. Marks inside 50 are going Sydney's way 4-1, and the inside 50s are 12-10 Sydney's way.
Start of the second quarter with a bounce straight up. Mumford wins the hit, but Pendlebury pinches it at ground level and shrugs himself clear. Kicks up towards half forward. Fasolo in a battle with Smith. Fasolo wins it just outside the 50, but he's wrestled by Smith. What a contest. No whistle on the play. Play on, said the umpy. Comes to Jolly, tries to stand in the tackle. Now play comes in to ball it up. That was great.
Little Ryan O'Keefe there. He's not all that little. It's just clinging on for dear life to Darren Jolly there to lock that up.
Jolly wins this hit. Comes to Pendlebury, who's ripped off it. Spills to Thomas. His kick slews sideways, comes to Beams close to the boundary line. He centres it back into the corridor. All Sydney, and Reece Shaw claims a mark. I'm not 100% sure he got the first touch, but the umpire paid the mark.
Teddy Richards again, no good in that marking contest.
And Reece Shaw was a spare then again, so we see it once again.
Shaw's kick is marked by Sam Reid at left half back for Sydney. On the outer side on this fine night in the Harbour City at the Olympic Stadium, Reid with a high, long right foot drop punt to a pack on the outer wing. Off hands, it's Pendlebury's ball for Collingwood. His hand pass not all that creative. O'Keefe's got it, goes to ground, somehow ferrets it out to Jack. He's tackled by side bottom, had it for a long time. Umpire says play on. It's locked at the bottom of them. The umpire waits, watches. It's still on the ground. No one can get a clean touch except for Kennedy, who bullocks away. Rushes a kick towards half forward and up and under, and Heath Shaw tracking back is able to take a defensive mark for Collingwood. What a presence, Josh Kennedy.
Well, he keeps his feet, doesn't he, so well. Like Sammy Mitchell in that respect. Still 20 points the lead to Sydney after the first quarter. Shaw kicks close to the boundary line. That is a perfect kick, marked just inside the white line by Swan. Brownlow medalist. Short pass into Beams. In between half-back and wing.
Richards and Dawes, they've probably got one good foot each on them, so at least Teddy's a bit sore and obviously Beams a bit sore. So
fair fight.
Fair fight.
Beams picks out Wellingham on centre wing. This is a good sequence by the Pies, and Wellingham down to Dawes, who marks. In between wing and half forward, he goes long inside the 50. Cloak wrestles his man off. The punch comes behind the pack. A chance here for the Pies. On the behind line, the hand pass to Cloak, who followed up, and he kicks the goal from inside the goal square after terrific work by Goldsack.
Well, it all happened by Wellingham, and Shaw fell off him. Shaw has got Wellingham, and Wellingham's working Shaw over, making sure he's not used on the way out. And then when it came, Wellingham went, Shaw decided to drop off deeper in defence. They used, thank goodness, they used Wellingham, and that sequence started with his forward movement. I mean, that's a good bit of thinking. Wellingham thinking defensively when he has to.
It's good coaching.
Yeah, good.
Got to use the short
option going up.
Get the ball in, and great play by Goldsack. Great hands, and he's dangerous player on the footy. But Marty Matten, I think, came third man up, and Goldsack stayed in the ground, and good hands to get the ball out to Cloak.
Yeah, 3 men drawn to Cloak, and then he found himself clear to receive the crumbs. Sorry, Shannon.
Ted Richards is staying out there. He's pushed the physio away, but Luke Parker's still warming up here for the sub.
Centre bounce, Jolly the palm down, couldn't find a rover, locked in the middle of the ground. It comes out, Kennedy once again for Sydney. His hand pass not great though. Thomas the first to get to it on the back straight wing for Collingwood. A rush little kick is picked up by Sydney's Bird. His hand pass, well, it may have been Johnson to McVeigh. McVeigh defensively with a hand pass to Matner. Tries to break a tackle, just does, to get a hand pass to O'Keefe. He gets it back to Matner now on his non-preferred right. Matner kicks to half forward. Coming out is Pike. The spoil was good from Brown. Punch back to the wing. Mumford's got a fit of the fumbles. Eventually tried to get a hand pass to Jude Bolton. He's on hands and knees. Stolen by Swan of Collingwood. And the Pies rush a kick towards right half forward, but it's out of bounds on the full from Dane Swan. And a free kick to Sydney.
Pressure's coming on there. 3, just grab it and kick it between the 50-metre arcs. It's not going to work. Not going to work.
Grundy with the free kick. Short pass marked by O'Keefe. Just defensive side of the outer wing for the Swans, who lead it by 14 points early stages, second turn.
Collingwood with the only goal so far of the second quarter. And cross to Matner. A short pass comes up to Goods just inside the centre square. He goes out towards the wing. McVeigh camped underneath it. Swan closes the gap on him, but the bounce favours McVeigh. Terrific hand pass up to Mumford, who works the ball into Kennedy. An underground hand pass going backwards is tidied up again by Kennedy. Gets the hand pass off to Shaw, who wants the give and go to O'Keefe. Gets it back. Does a U-turn. Back to McVeigh, who thumps the ball long. Roberts Thompson used his body and took the mark. Right in front, 30 metres from goal. He disposed of Reid beautifully. I don't think there were hands there, were there?
No, he was bit lucky with that one. I thought
the ball's not within 5 metres. You can't take a bloke out of the contest, and I reckon that is interference, and that's why the crowd are reacting as they are.
Roberts Thompson for his second, kicking from about 35 metres. And he misses left.
The football gods are with us. The football gods are with us. Wasn't a free kick, and therefore he doesn't deserve the goal.
Gee, I don't know. Strong blokes are entitled to win with their strength.
You can't take a bloke out of the contest when the ball's not within 5 metres. It's a simple rule of the game. You can't do it.
It's only a second quarter.
No, you can't. It's not allowed.
Great stuff on Grandstand AFL. Short pass, and it's Beams marking in the right back pocket. We're just fans at the footy. Beams with a long kick, and not a good kick. Mumford there at the drop to take the mark, attacking side of the wing for Sydney. Lays off to Malcheski, driving left boot back into attack. What about this time for LRT? Couldn't mark with 3 against him. In the pocket, Beams picks up, hand passes to O'Brien, loses his footing, loses the footy, and Jack steals it for Sydney. In tight, gave it to Bird. A snap kick on the right boot from the pocket. Oh, he's just hooked it too much. It's a behind. Sydney lead by 16 points. 5-7 to 3-3.
Collingwood out of defence, but a poor old kick is marked here by Reid, who centres the ball perfectly, and diving in as the Canadian to take the mark. Mike Pike, 40 metres from goal.
He took it like a Canadian too, didn't he? Slid it on his backside and knees and everything else, and the ball happened to lob on his chest at the right time. You've got to be very skilled to do that. Would be a wonderful thing if he goes back and he'll lift the... no, there's no roof on the stadium.
No, it's not. He's a solid kick for goal, though, Pike. He has improved.
He has improved, yeah.
He's kicked 8 goals, 7 this season. A remarkable story. He goes from 45, and he's given it the big hook, and kicks a behind.
You know one thing with Collingwood, when you watch them, they're so slick with their hands. Their midfielders are so good at that one touch, get the handball off, and it looks like the opposition's continually chasing them around the contest. Tonight it just seems to be reversed. They're the side that's chasing Sydney, and they cannot get any ascendancy in the general play around the ground. It's like Sydney have just got the possession and got it under control.
Kick in marked by Tooby at left half back for Collingwood. He's kicked close to the line, gathered by Dawes on the bounce. He gives to Fasolo. Fasolo's kick to half forward for Collingwood. Cloak in a one-on-one with Grundy, and Grundy makes the spoil. It's over the boundary line. Throw in 70 from Collingwood's goal at left half forward.
A good spoil, but great setup there, and that's what they want to see. There's more of those one-on-one contests, getting Grundy to hold his own against Cloak.
Thoughts of Craig Bolton on Grandstand AFL. The throw in, well, Kennedy had a play at it, dropped it. Pendlebury tackled his hand pass, stolen by O'Keefe. Rush kick to the wing for Sydney. Bouncing ball, tapped down by Jack. Well, it was going to Bird, it came back to Jack. Put it on his boot under pressure, and it comes back to him. He's got it on a string at the moment. He's tackled in his hand pass. Doesn't find a target. Well, Shaw picked it up, but he was buffeted off the ball. Picked up by Bird of Sydney. He gives to Kennedy to an open goal square from 50. Kennedy kicks his second. Well, again, not classic build-up, but Kennedy found himself in some space 50 metres out. No one was in the goal square. He had the luxury of bouncing at home, and the Swans out to a 23-point lead. Sydney 6-8-44, Collingwood 3-3-21, 8.5 travelled second term.
Well, the pressure's intense. I mean, every time one of these good Collingwood midfielders gets the ball, and it was Swan on that occasion, they get swamped. We have not seen any brilliance from Beams, from Swan, from Pendlebury, from Thomas. They've got no time, they've got no space. This pressure machine that Sydney is so good at constructing is just working overtime at the moment, and it's just causing turnovers.
Alex Johnson just on the sideline here, just getting a test on his left shoulder. He's in a bit of discomfort at the moment.
Mumford wins the hit out. A little toe poke by Goods, and he gets the ball back. Kick up towards half forward is rowed by Bolton, who gets it going forward in front of him. He regathers the hand pass inboard. Reid couldn't take it cleanly. It's socket out of defence for Collingwood. Running straight onto it, Malcheski, who throws her on the boot and kicks the ball out of bounds inside the 50.
Well, we've had Kennedy versus Pendlebury for the whole day. They've had 10 each, would you believe? I would have thought Kennedy was twice as good. I think, but he's been twice as effective.
Johnson with the free kick, a short pass, and Thomas is marked on defensive 50. Squares the ball across to O'Brien, who marks and is cornered by Reid. Oh, Harry takes it all the way back to the goal line. Has a couple of daring bounces and goes for a gallop from a standing start. Gets it outside 50, up short of centre wing. Jolly at the back with Mumford. Comes to the front to Cracker. Little hand pass to Fasolo. Kick partly smothered. Terrific stuff in midfield. O'Keefe gets the hand pass away. Hanbury has it now. He gets the ball onto Bird. An underground pass. LRT dives in. No mark. A contest on the 50. Umpire letting it go for a fair while. Now it'll be a ball up.
I tell you, this pressure is just enormous by Sydney. There's not really errors coming from Collingwood. They haven't got time and space, and it's just it's quite a sight at the moment.
Bounce at centre half forward for Sydney. Off the tap down, Thomas and Goods battling. Both of them go over the top of it. Swan kicks it off the ground to the safety of the wing for the time being. Goldsack trying to pick up, couldn't. Over the line it goes, and the ball to be thrown in. Just attacking side of the wing for Sydney. Well, no one getting to the throw-in. It was a bit of a wobbly one, but so tired with the players that Mumford tapped down easily to Jack. Jack links with Hanbury. The kick to half forward. Bird the target. The spoil came from Heathshaw, and Heathshaw roves his own spoil and now has a chance to kick Collingwood forward. On the right wing, he does a long ball towards attacking 50. Cracker one-on-one against Richards. He goes hard again. Ted Richards wins a tough nut, and the Swans get clear because of it. Hanbury short to Shaw. Oh, but that's just magnificent football from Ted Richards. Oh, the next passage of play seemed to not mean anything, Drew.
Oh, well called. Gee, that.
And it's always the way when you get a knock, you're in contest all the time, so you are. It seems to be. And Teddy, fantastic effort there again.
And once again, it was the roll off Dawes. Dawes is the lead-up man, did not get used. Teddy rolled back, and then is the extra number at the contest.
Heathshaw's been knocked off for kicking a ball out of bounds on the full. Bolton the free kick, marked by Goods. He kicks long to full forward. 2 against 2. It comes to the front. Chance for Blair as he roves. Sweeps the hand pass to Heathshaw, who kicks over half back, and the mark taken by Jolly in a bit of space.
Terrific run by Mumford. Did you see that?
I saw that. That was unbelievable.
Blair running through the middle would have been the ideal dish off, and Mumford just was step by step right next to him. Terrific play.
Swans by 23 points to a contest. It's knocked towards the boundary line and beats Cracker over the white line for a throw-in.
That's just priceless, that stuff. It's hard to describe, isn't it? But the lift that has
he was on the break, on the forward side of a big man, and we all thought it was going to open up, and it never was allowed to.
Sydney by 23 points, throwing on the back straight wing. O'Keefe roves, hand passes to Jack. A rush kick for Sydney to half forward. Off the pack, O'Brien got a touch, not to a teammate though. Goods couldn't pick up his little toe poke gathered by Heathshaw. Up and under kick under implied pressure. There wasn't really anyone around him there. Side bottom underneath it. So too is Blair. Blair picks up for Collingwood, and the Pies a chance here. Blair from defensive side of the wing. Slots a 25-metre pass. Marked by Cloak a long way from home. He wheels onto the left. Driving ball to attacking 50. Dawes had a play on it. Couldn't mark. Roved by Sydney's Malcheski. His hand pass is dicey. Richards is tackled by Cracker. Got rid of it in time. Matner picks up in the pocket for Sydney. Whacks it clear, but only to Cloak, who marks 55 out at right half forward.
Now this is critical what he does here. I think this is almost beyond him. There's not a single movement here at the moment. There's no one even opening space up for someone to work into. He's got to go back and deliver this. This is an absolutely critical kick in terms of the game's outcome.
You just know when there are those little moments of importance, and here is one. Cloak high and long from 60, and on the near side. Chelsea Roffey at the Cauldron end doing a fair bit of work as the goal umpire there. Behind the Cloak, Sydney 6-8-44, Collingwood 3-4-22.
He made the distance on the bit, didn't he?
He made the
distance on the bit, yeah.
Now Grundy has a defensive 50 and kicks up towards vacant territory centre wing. First there is Reid for Collingwood. He gathers, but he took it out before he got rid of the hand pass. It's not a bad result for them there.
And this pressure from Sydney, you'd think it's going to have an implied pressure for the rest of the game from Collingwood. They're going to be thinking the pressure's down. It's not there. And you saw it a couple of times with Collingwood's ball use, just getting rid of it as quick as they can long down the line.
Throw in at centre wing. Dawes making a nuisance of himself in the ruck, but it comes to the front to O'Keefe, who gets the ball towards the 50, and Goods. It bounces off him out of play. Sydney fans wanting a free kick against Reid of Collingwood, but they get a boundary throw in. Manly have scored in the NRL prelim final. Melbourne 12-6.
Almost half time in Melbourne. Throw in right half forward for Sydney. Under the pack, it's Wellingham trying to burst through two. Not getting through there. Did he have Pryor? Nope. Ball up. Ball up at attacking 50 for Sydney. The Swans by 22 points, 14 scoring shots to 7. From the tap down, McVeigh close to the boundary line, smacks it on his boot. Goods has got 2 to beat in the goal mouth. Off hands, it goes over the boundary line, and it will be thrown in the right forward pocket. So Sydney still in attack. Right down there, that big posse of black and white supporters at the southern end of the Olympic Stadium. from the tap down. It's kicked clear by Wellingham. Not a great kick though. On attacking 50 for Sydney, picked up by Bird of the Swans. Defensive hand pass to Shaw. They've sucked it out a bit to set it up here. Shaw's flared wide and it's marked by Grundy between wing and right half forward. A kick and a half from goal. And basically all bar about 2 players on the ground are in front of him. So he sets it up to the pocket. Mumford's the big target. Flying from behind, Kennedy couldn't mark. Close to the boundary line, Johnson's ball for Collingwood. Rush kick clear. And it bobbles off hands. Grundy's got it. Cloak's got him. Another neutral looms and indeed is called for. A bounce at left half back for the Pies, who trail Sydney by 22 points. 16 minutes played in the second term.
And every stoppage forward half, Sydney have had 2 ruckmen going to every contest, so they have it here again with Pike and Mumford competing in both contests in the stoppages.
Big bodies in there. Kennedy at the foot of the pack, doing a lot to get it out, and he's knocked off for holding it.
Makes it hard for Jolly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden you've got 2 big bodies bashing up against you for the whole game.
Pendlebury the free kick and all the way across the ground, and he finds Ben Reid of Collingwood, who takes the mark, sweeps it over the top to O'Brien, who's going for those familiar runs tonight, gets the hand pass to Johnson, down the corridor, Johnson to Swan, who marks still inside the centre square. He's hesitant, Dane Swan, wants to get around Richards, blindsided from behind, gets rid of an ugly kick inside the 50, but it bounces well for side bottom. He's 45 from goal, he's caught from behind and a good tackle. You're gone, Nick Smith the tackler.
He missed the first opportunity.
Yeah,
but he had a coming loose on our side of the ground.
You need a better result than that, don't you?
Must
Streaming into the forward 50, had many options, but didn't take the right one.
And Nick Smith short to Reece Shaw. Reece Shaw marks and goes short to McVeigh, who's got it at left half back for Sydney. Forward of the defensive 50 arc, out on the back straight wing. McVeigh with a long kick down the line. A big pack of players. Offhands Pendlebury has it, and a beautiful hand pass. No looker over his shoulder to link up with Heath Shaw, who has a bounce, runs to the wing, kicks into attack for Collingwood. Swan gets to the front of the pack, almost took the mark, just not paid at the last moment, and Richards comes away with it for Sydney. Defensive hand pass to Reece Shaw, who runs through full back. His kick wide is very wide and out of bounds on the full. Looking to link with Bolton at right half back, so a free kick to Thomas, left half forward for the Pies, quick kick looking to Shaw. Late's ball came from Alex Johnson, a fist sees it over the line. Throw in with Collingwood, 45 from the goal, it's attacking. Sydney 6-8-44, Collingwood 3-4-22 with 18 minutes played second term.
Palmed down by Pike, but straight to the path of Pendlebury, who goes with the outside of his left and kicks a behind. Goal would have been handy there for the Pies. At last the scoreboard here is showing the full score. For a lot of this quarter they've been showing the television picture, which is just the action plus the score, which is 44-23. But now we know it's Swans 6-8-44 to Collingwood 3-4-22. 23 it is.
Yeah,
so the
scoreboard was behind. It's 3-5. The
scoreboard's been about half an hour behind.
Yep.
And it is 3-5-23. And there it is now.
Just wrestled back a bit of momentum in the last 5 minutes, Collingwood. They'll be looking to get a score here. Don't think they've kicked one this quarter yet.
Jolly in ruck. Works at the side bottom. Little hand pass to Blair. Kick goes nowhere. Tubi's there. Blair into Rove. Hand pass to side bottom. Penetrates the 50. Fasolo in front. Should have marked it. Had hands on it. It spills to Richards. Now away to Grundy, and they're out here, the Swans.
But Johnson holds it up. Now he decides to kick long, looking for Hanbury on the wing. Comes from behind, brought to the front of the pack by Heath Shaw, but roved by Bird of Sydney. Chip to the middle of the ground, marked by McVeigh. He holds it up just defensive side of the bullseye. Now McVeigh a long ball to right half forward. O'Keefe the target, one-on-one. Nice work from Swan to get there and spoil, and then Rove his own ball. Swan's kicked to half forward for Collingwood, not all that creative. Richards after it. He got it. Cloak's got him, and they're over the boundary line. Throw in to be effective between wing and left half forward for Collingwood.
Good play by Swan, wasn't it, on O'Keefe? Just a good body player in the marking contest.
Ball tossed in. Jolly front position. Got a hand, but Kennedy pinched it for Sydney. Hands it off to Matner. Off a step. A rush forward to a 2-on-2. Reid battling with Tarrant. It comes to the front. Jude Bolton roves and hand passes creatively to Morton. Taps it to his advantage. Tries to break the Harrio tackle. Great run down, Harrio. Saved the goal. Now the ball's with Heath Shaw in the back line. His rush kick for Tarrant. He's pushed off it by Reid. Sydney's ball 55 out. Lewis Jenner centering. Kicks a beauty. Marked by Kennedy. Oh, he was standing up directly in front and wanted to play on. Was that touched? Surely it must have been a call of touch for Kennedy to play on there. His hand pass didn't find a teammate. It's back in the chop and we'll see a bounce.
I think he's actually played on and saw Adam Goods inside and tried to release the hands to Adam Good over the top. He did. He tried to play on and give the ball over the top, 20 metres out straight in front. Go back.
Bounce 30 from Sydney's goal. Well, Mumford got there, taps it to Kennedy, kicks on goal and hooks it, and it's a minor. And Sydney, well, gentlemen, they're 22 points in front, almost 4 goals. They've got rights to be 6 goals in front here.
Yeah, at least, I would have thought, at least. Another little bit of great display of tap work there. Mumford to Kennedy.
6-9 to 3-5.
But you know what, Collingwood have got a lot of upside still. You know, there's a lot of players that aren't dominating. They are getting their hands on the ball, but you know, there's not a lot of them actually dominating the game, you know, and that's an upside that they'll have going in at half time.
Beams was put under pressure by Teddy Richards at the kick in, and Richards has worked the ball out of play. Swans have it inside the 50, and pass comes to Jack, who kicks towards full forward. A pack gathers, bodies crunched to the floor. It's tapped into the goal square, and there to take the crumbs is Goods, who gets the goal from a couple of metres out.
Great play, Josh Kennedy. You know, he didn't take it. He's made up for his mistake just before, and could have taken the mark, could have taken the ball and got tackled, but he actually tapped it out in the pad of Adam Goods, and great finish from Goodsy. But they'll probably need a couple more goals to get the reward for their dominance, I think.
You both mentioned the in-close work. I call that in-close. That's a decision you make when the ball's coming to hand. Do I grab it and control it, or do I hit it on? Their in-close work has been exceptional tonight. It really has. And the other way, they put so much pressure on Collingwood. Collingwood continue to cough it up even when they're not under pressure.
Well, they've got to find something here, the Pies. Only 22 minutes second term, but a 28-point lead for Sydney.
Oh, that was close too. Could have been touching the post.
Big period before half-time. Mumford down to Kennedy, but his hand pass is poor. Pinched by Goldsack. It was a throw playing to advantage. Goldsack hand pass to Jolly. His kick to half-forward is marked. And the kick across the half-forward line is marked by Swan. The kick coming from Blair. Now Swan kicks wide and finds Pendlebury, who's on a tough angle and a long way from home. The man on the mark, 45 out.
Well, they did that better than they've done any other sequence. It's a sequence of 4, getting the bloke coming to you or laterally from you, and hit each of those up with great kicks into space. Deservedly a shot on goal. Hopefully they get it.
The reigning best and fairest at the Magpies needs to kick a big goal for his team. We know what a star Scott Pendlebury is. This on the left from 51. It starts out to the right. It's not going to have the journey. Cracker flies off the pack. Couldn't mark. It's rode by Hanbury. His rush kick straight to Ben Johnson. And Johnson slides to the ground and takes a mark. 45 out straight in front.
Well, it's a poor kick.
Coming off the corridor.
Off the last line of defence, and he's, as you said, Drew, couldn't have got much straighter than that.
Craig Bolton would be going off his nuts, wouldn't he, Bolton? Go wide to the boundary.
What is it? The boundary line's your friend, isn't it, Pago? That's
absolutely right.
So the 31-year-old veteran, can he kick the important goal? Runs over the 50, powers it with the left boot. That's a shocking kick. It's out of bounds on the full.
That was
out of bounds on the full. Free kick to Sydney in the right back pocket.
It's half-time in the NRL. Melbourne Storm 12 lead Manly Sea Eagles 6. 12-6 in their prelim in Melbourne at half-time.
And Lewis Jetta, just coming on. He's been off for about 5 minutes, just getting attention to both knees. One strap now.
Might have got grass burns from that goal that he kicked. Ball, a big pack at centre wing, gathers. Off hands is taken by Blair. Hand pass away to Tarrant. Further to Beams on the logo. Kick by Beams to centre half forward. He was there, the big fella, but he couldn't take the mark. It comes down to the front to Fasolo, who kicks wide. Cloak can't mark, but he gets rid of his opponent. Cloak follows up and snaps from 40 off the left and missed to the right-hand side. Kicked the goal in the... he's kicked 2 goals now, Cloak. 2 goals, 2 for the night. But Dawes had a chance at centre half forward. And now it's 3-5 Collingwood, trailing the Swans 7 goals, 9.
3-6. Drew, that scoreboard's got you again. It's a bit slow, isn't it?
Yep.
27 points, the lead. And a long kick from Matner. Mumford got around Jolly, read the flight well. Takes a mark beyond defensive 50 at right half back from the kicking. Big Shane Mumford on his right boot. Drives the home straight wing on the western side. Oh, a fly from Reid. Almost took a specky. It's paid. It's paid. But a Gary Ablett over Gary Pert in that umpiring decision, I think. Favourable for the Flyer, nonetheless. Reid with the specky. Ben Reid kicked Collingwood forward again to a packet left half forward. No mark, but Johnson roves for Sydney. Hands it to Jack off the step. His kick is marked by LRT. That is a grab. On the wing, Roberts Thompson. There was 2 against Heath Shaw there and he had no chance. Important little phase here before half-time. 27 points the lead to Sydney. Roberts Thompson to a packet right half forward. Off hands, it's over the boundary line. Nathan Brown the telling fist there to see it to the temporary safety of the boundary line.
How's LRT going?
He's done a great game, isn't he?
Pretty handy for an ex-rugby player.
Yeah.
Ball thrown in right half forward for Sydney. Mumford roves his own ruck work, then bumbles to ground. Shovels it out, but Collingwood pick it up. Swan gives to Wellingham. He gives it to Beams. Beams kicks the half forward. Nick Smith got in front of Fracker, read it well, and Smith takes the mark for Sydney.
And squares the ball in. Malcheski marks. Finds some open space with Bird out on the far side. He gathers on the bounce and gets some support. Matner kicks towards centre half forward. Roberts Thompson hands to it but can't take the mark. Ball socket away, comes to Swan. He gets it towards the circles in the middle of the ground. Oh, good hands.
Right,
beautiful by Bird. With a hand pass back to Richards. Richards kick and McVeigh leaves his opponent. Gets it on the 50. Bork gets the hand pass away. Hanbury drops it. It was beautifully set up by McVeigh. McVeigh gets it back from Hanbury and with the outside of his boot kicks for goal. It doesn't quite make it and Pendlebury marks on the behind line.
Geez, the Pies need half time. You can just see they look tired, don't they? At the moment.
John McVeigh's had a great half of football, so he has too. You know, Daisy Thomas has been on him for a lot of it as well, so he hasn't been close checking at all.
And they need to pinch a goal too, Collingwood. Well, they don't have time. That's the half-time siren. Half-time in the preliminary final in Sydney. And it's the hometown Swans who have turned a 20-point quarter-time advantage into a 27-point half-time lead. It's Sydney 7 goals 9, 51 to Collingwood 3 goals 6, 24. The only multiple goal kicker in the game for Sydney is Josh Kennedy and he has 2 goals. Singles to Ryan O'Keefe, Jude Bolton, Lou Roberts-Thompson, Lewis Jetta and Adam Goods. While for Collingwood their only multiple is Travis Cloak and their only other goal kicker is Chris Dawes. So it was Sydney by 20 points at quarter time and now the Swans by 27 at half time. 7-9-51 to 3-6-24. Gentlemen?
Well, ominous signs for Collingwood. We mentioned they looked tired and just as that siren went there, 4 or 5 went down on their haunches. No Sydney players did. They ran over to the race into each other. They're up and about and their pressure has been the thing that's kept it, given them a sizable lead, but one which does not reflect the dominance they've had over this game today. They've been dominant in all areas. They're winning the ball in close, as you mentioned, Parko. Their ability to get the ball in tight, make that right decision and then boot it forward to the advantage of their forwards has been outstanding. Collingwood on the other half, they've got so much work to do. It's hard to see how they're going to pull themselves out of this mess they're in and be competitive in the second half.
For me, it's a midfield battle, really. I think it's the Swans midfield, and Josh Kennedy and Joe McVeigh's had a great half of football, but the Swans midfielders have scored 5 goals. Simple as that in the first half of football, so they have, and Collingwood's mids haven't got near it at all and haven't scored a goal. If Josh Kennedy had 2, Ryan O'Keefe has 1, Jude has 1, and Lewis Jetta kicked a fantastic goal. So the midfield from Collingwood, they're getting some numbers, but the quality of the ball use that they're using hasn't been great, and that's probably because of Sydney's pressure and also, like we said before, the perceived pressure.
One player, Collingwood, Thomas, has the capacity to do it. Sadly, for the last month, he's done it in patches, and that's been influential in lifting Collingwood. Now, the night he's had probably half a dozen or 8 or 9 possessions. None of them have been terribly effective. He'd have to get hold of the game and he's saying nothing. The 2 great contrasts have been Dawes starting injured, seriously has not made any impact on this game whatsoever, either as a key forward, I know he kicked one early, but really hasn't influenced the game, or as a ruckman coming on and trying to help out. The Paul Blake's got 2 on him, as you suggested there. Every ball up, every stoppage, there are 2 hacking into Jolly, making his life miserable. And the great thing is that Richard, when we saw Richards go down there, that's one of the bravest and heaviest hits you could see of Blake going backwards and sideways and upwards. He was cleaned up, I reckon, on 3 parts of his body. He's gone off, we've looked at him and said that's him for the night, he won't come back. Not only has he come back and staggered round for the first 10 minutes, looking, I'm embarrassed that the doctor sent him out there. By the finish of that quarter, he was being just as effective as he was at the start. That is terribly brave in the way that he plays to come back and resurrect his game and be influential. I think that's a superb individual effort within this contest. They have done everything right, Sydney, other than put them away on the scoreboard. That has so often in finals been the difference of keeping the other team alive, and Collingwood are only alive on the basis of what Sydney haven't done once they've had the ball inside 50.
It's the great intrigue that keeps us looking forward to what happens the other side of the halftime break. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Tyke. Thanks, David. Repeating the halftime score here at the Olympic Stadium. It's Sydney with a 27-point lead over the Magpies. The Swans 7-9-51. The Pies 3-6-24. Hope you're enjoying your night with us on Grandstand AFL, wherever you're tuning in. More from the Olympic Stadium after the latest from the ABC Newsroom with Jim Graham.
Their channel, Rockers down here now on the boundary. So everybody for the Magpies except Nathan Buckley pretty much on the bench.
Score from the NRL, Melbourne Storm 20-12. A converted try by Jamie Lyons has got the Sea Eagles back into it. The bounce to start the second half. Mumford wins, Pendlebury gathers. Here's caught in a two-man tackle. Kennedy with him. They're over the ball and the umpire says he'll ball it up.
Wasn't that fantastic? Great hit by Jolly into Pendlebury's part. He swallowed it. Clunk! He's on the deck with Kennedy. Gets killed him.
He's a brute, Kennedy. That's what he is.
I'd rather not get it.
There's your two ruckmen again inside the middle of the middle SCG. I was going to say an ANZ Stadium, sorry.
Yeah, and Mumford got there to win it. Down to Hanbury. He gets the hand pass up, and the kick by Jack inside the 50 is marked by Brown in defence for Collingwood. Peeling around the back is Pendlebury. He kicks from centre half back into the centre of the ground, and Sinclair gets a rare touch as he marks overhead. Squares the ball across the ground to Swan. Further short pass across to side bottom, who needs to lift and get into the game. 51-24, Sydney lead. Static. Geez, taking a long time to get rid of this. So he kicks it up to a contest. 3-2 in favour of the Swans. It's thumped to the front. McVeigh gathers.
Rush kick to a 2-on-1 against Hanbury. He almost took the mark. Couldn't. Heath Short gathers. He's tackled as soon as he got it. Guess who? And pinches it from him, Kennedy. What a player. Play on to advantage. Hand pass to Matner. Matner gives the Hanbury 55 out. Long kick to the goal mouth over the head of Roberts Thompson and also Ben Reid. Bounces in the pocket. Bird attacks it. Couldn't pick it up. Roberts Thompson had it. Lost it. Crawling on hands and knees close to the boundary line, and eventually it's over. And it will be thrown in the right forward pocket for the Swans. Josh Kennedy.
Yeah, he got
in that previous passage of play.
Got hurt down there too.
Thrown in. Oh, Mumford uncontested. Taps down to Jack. His hand pass not clean for O'Keefe. Good pressure from Beams, but it's still Sydney's ball. Kennedy again, defensive hand pass to Jetta. He wheels outside, attacking 50. Defensive hand pass to Malcheski, 60 out. Spearing pass to the goal mouth. It rolls past the one-on-one contest in Reid and Roberts Thompson. Through for a point. Sydney out by 28. 7-10, 52 to 3-6-24.
And Collingwood have worked it in quickly. Beams has it at half-back, kicks down the line, but the spoil put on by an injured Ted Richards, who is lifting big time to get the ball away from Dawes.
I want to know what he's taken. I want some of that. I reckon it'll make me take 10 years off my life, I reckon.
At the throw in, once again the two ruckmen in tandem for Sydney. They work it down to the front to Jack, a hurried kick, bounces out of bounds in the forward pocket. Mumford and
you'd like to see Brown just come across, or Darren Jolly, whoever's on Pike and the other ruckman that's not there at the contest, just get him out of the way. Make it an honest one-on-one contest. Protect your ruckman, Darren Jolly.
Well, Brown is there, manning up this time on Pike. It comes to Harry O'Brien, who can't breathe. He is absolutely swamped, and the umpire comes in to ball it up again. 52-24, Sydney lead.
And they're in attack again at that northern or the cauldron end of the Olympic Stadium here in Sydney. Jolly first hand. Beams was looking for it. Had it stolen by Goods. And up and under. Snap with the left boot. Close to the line. Thumped through for a point by Heathshaw. And Sydney now by 29 points after that rush behind. And it's going to be Shaw to bring back in for the Magpies. Well, he's hesitant and then kicks off the step, and it works in the end. Side bottom marks, and he's got a bit of space to run through right half back. Has a bounce. His chip pass marked by Cloak, defensive side of the wing on the western side. On the left boot, long kick inside attacking 50. 2-on-2 contest. Dawes flew, couldn't mark. Sinclair Roves close to the boundary. 40 metres out, snaps to the goal mouth. Oh, Goldsack dropped the mark he should have taken, and then I think it's kicked off the ground for a goal, is it?
Yeah, I think Tuvi's actually hit it on the way in. I think he's actually hit it by accident and ran over the top of the ball.
Was it on the knee, below or above the knee? I think she's going to say below the knee goal.
We're going to get a referral here, I think. Chelsea Roffey is the goal umpire down there, is referring, or it's conferring with the field umpire, and now the boundary umpires are being involved as well.
If there's that much talk, surely you just take it up there.
Take it up there. So there's no doubt that
initially it looked like it was a goal from here, but it's hard to see. Obviously, this is clarified now for us.
Chelsea was indicating it might have hit the knee, so just see how high it is when it hits him.
Getting a replay. Yeah, that's been knee through.
Yeah,
so that's not going to be a goal.
No.
That's a really good call from Chelsea Roffey, who was the reserve goal umpire for last year's grand final. She might have got herself a ticket to the main dance with that one.
Book your ticket.
Sadly, Goldsack, who made good ground, great kick. He should have swallowed that. I know it's a hard mark,
uncontested,
and then they needed to do better when it hit the ground as well.
So behind.
See, that's the one they needed.
Yeah, first on, first quarter was in handy for them.
Back to 28 points, Sydney's lead, 53 plays 25.
And the poor lady has to stand behind, in front of the Collingwood fans as well. She'll be hearing it this whole quarter.
And Tuvi robbed of his first goal of the season with that one. The kick comes in long. Mumford does really well. Gets the hand pass to Hanbury. A chain. Finishes up coming to McVeigh. In between half-back and wing. Short pass just over the wing. Beautifully worked by the Swans. And the mark taken by O'Keefe.
He's playing well, isn't he? Look at this kick.
Oh, laces out. Beautiful kick. And Bolton marks near the front edge of the square. He kicks to a one-on-one at full forward. Reid out. He should have gobbled the mark. He dropped it. It comes to the front. The hand pass comes back to Jetta. He finds a bit of space. Goes from 52. A chance here for Kennedy running in the same direction as the ball. But he's met from a good spoil by Sidebottom. Sees it rush through for a behind.
The energy's been pretty good with Collingwood. Pretty good, hasn't it? There's a bit of a resurrection here, I think.
They're certainly up a bit. How long it can last is the question.
Yeah, that's right.
You get a bit of reward as well, for your effort is encouraging from.
Here's Sam Reid should have marked that.
Heathshaw very short, marked by O'Brien. O'Brien short as well. And Sidebottom, who's got the footy at left half back for Collingwood. He kicks to the outer wing. The target is Tarrant. The spoil comes from Reid, and the ball is over the boundary line. Throw in to be effective between wing and right half forward.
Well, they've only had 10 shots at goal, Collingwood, but what we haven't seen is any easy shots. They haven't had any free kicks against. They haven't had any marks in the lead uncontested. It's just been such a slog down there to get a scoring shot.
Wellingham got first hand to it off the ruck contest, but he's swamped as soon as he's got it, and we'll see another bounce.
26-12 in favour of the Melbourne Storm in the NRL preliminary final. A try to Jesse Bromwich converted by Cam Smith, 26-12 after 64 minutes.
So attacking side of the wing for Sydney, the bounce affected. It bumbles Collingwood's way, but only to Grundy, defensive side of the wing for Sydney. He hand passes to McVeigh, who turns and kicks towards right half forward. Well, Reid is spoiled by Goods there, and O'Brien's able to pick up for Collingwood. Runs through centre half back. They're on here, the Pies, if they move it. Dawes marks. Harrio ran on to receive the hand pass. His kick is very wide, though. Picked up by Sinclair on the wing. He has to go defensively with a hand pass to Sidebottom. Sidebottom's kick finds Cloak. A long way from home, about 65 out at right half forward. He turns and kicks quickly inside 50. Off a hand, it's gathered by Cracker. Had it and is dispossessed by Malcheski. Cracker jumps on Malcheski. The ball tunneled through the legs of the Swans defender and then locked in under his body. And we'll see a bounce with Collingwood in attack about 45 from the goal at the southern end.
And there's the problem. Harry O'Brien's come through the middle of the ground and he's kicked it out to the wing to a contest they've been held up.
We've gone goalless in nearly 8 minutes of this third quarter. Sydney have it in their back 50. McVeigh, a very high ball, only gets it to the 50. Punched down by Pendlebury, regathered by Pendlebury. Hand pass to Brown up from defence. Little hand pass away. Wellingham turned back into trouble. He's holding the ball.
They're certainly up and about there, Collingwood. The intensity has been a lot better this second half.
Alex Johnson, the tackler for Sydney, takes the free kick. Out wide he goes. And a chance for Jetta. He marks, gets the hand pass off. This time it's Shaw, the racehorse. He runs over the wing. Dawes will never get him. Kick by Shaw is very poor. In fact, he kicked it to his brother. They're playing kick to kick in the backyard.
That was extraordinary. That was a terrible kick from Reece Shaw. Nathan Brown's got it under pressure at half-back. Gives to Beams. Beams hand pass to Ben Reid. He's not going to kick it to his brother, is he? Kicks it towards half-forward. Now he's looking for Goldsack. Nice close from Johnson to make a spoil and then hassle Tyson Goldsack. Goldsack picks it up. He's tackled by the cavalry in O'Keefe, but Collingwood still have the football. It's with Cloak on the outer wing. A high left foot kick towards half forward, setting a massive task there of side bottom. And Richards is there again. Side bottom was wrestling with McVeigh. Richards peeled off, dumps it over the line, throw in at left half forward for the Pies, who trail by 29 points.
The two key forwards are up the middle of the ground. Every time they turn, got some space, they've got little blokes outnumbered to go to.
Palm down to O'Keefe. His kick to centre wing, and it's knocked away by Reid, the defender for Collingwood, over the boundary line out.
Storm at home. Billy Slater's scored 30-12 with about 14 minutes to play.
I don't understand that. I can't understand why two. I mean, that is very poor structure, very poor plan to do that.
They've certainly gone small if you look inside the 50 now deep. They've got Pizzola and Cracker trying to come out of the goal square.
Kennedy has it for Sydney, but his hand passes poor to Mumford, but it's worked by Roberts Thompson back to Kennedy. He gets it to the 50. Goods one out with Reid. Comes to the front. He's sure taken down in a good tackle. It spills Sydney's way. Gathered out wide, and the kick by Bird is chopped off in defence for Collingwood, and they repel. But Collingwood need a score here and need it quickly. Neither side has scored a goal in 10 minutes in this quarter. It's 7-12 to 3-7.
Thomas involved a couple of times for the Pies to bring it through half back. He's got it now, and he's kicked to the wide part of the ground. Slapped on by Wellingham, looking for Jolie, but McVeigh read it. McVeigh got the ball for Sydney. He hand passes to O'Keefe, a little kick marked by Jude Bolton. Chance for Sydney to structure up and set something up here. The kick to the space for Jetta. Jetta gathers on the bounce. The banana kick on the run from 40. Oh, yes! What a goal! There's your admission price, justified. If it wasn't with his first goal, Sydney by 35. It's Everest now for Collingwood halfway through. I'll make it 11 minutes into the third quarter.
Well, it all started on the Jolly, I think it was Wellingham, wasn't it? Jolly and Wellingham mucking it up here in the middle, and they had control of the ball. They lost it. Not only lost it, but couldn't put any pressure on the next kick. It was a magnificent pass to Jetta and an even better finish by him.
The finish was, I don't know how to, you can't describe that. You cannot articulate how good that kick was.
That's why you lose it and say, oh yeah. I didn't know what to say.
It's costly error from Wellingham in the middle. You've got to take that ball and make something of it.
First goal of the term took 11 minutes. Here come the Swans again. Out of the middle. Jack kicks to centre half forward, but O'Brien marks in defence for Collingwood.
He's been good, O'Brien.
He's been the only one standing up, isn't he?
He kicks wide, and side bottom takes the mark just inside the boundary line. There's no spark coming from the Pies just as yet. Wellingham now marks on the logo at centre wing. He goes for a half-distance pass. It sits up and it's thumped away by Goods from Swan. It comes down to the front. Hanbury gathers to Bolton. Back to Hanbury. He concedes some ground back to Reece Shaw. The hand pass into Grundy. Gee, they're working well as a team. Grundy's kick in front. It was almost there to Pike, but it comes to Kennedy. He gets the hand pass away to Morton. Is almost run down and under pressure. His kick is off the side of the boot and goes out of bounds about 40 metres from goal.
Yeah, Wellingham looks hurt. He's having a night to forget as well, coming off now, but his last three touches have been turnovers as well.
So he must have a cut head. It's 8-12-60 to 3-7-25. Well, Sydney kept the Crows to 5 goals a fortnight ago, and they've kept Collingwood to 3 so far here.
Kick to the wing, looking for Goldsack, misses the target, and Johnson has it for Sydney. A little round the corner kick, hoping for Pike, couldn't gather it. Whistle on play, free kick to Mike Pike, who was being held onto by Nathan Brown. So Pike, he wants to hand pass.
Silly free kick, wasn't it, really? Yeah. I mean, they were in the van, didn't have to do it.
Pike just sets it up to the goal mouth, and from behind, Mumford takes the mark. But there was a freak. Oh no, the umpire's sending it all the way back. I don't know what that was for. Did he not kick over the mark?
Oh, he went half a metre in the wrong direction. Didn't come back far enough behind the mark.
So Pike does hand pass it now. Malcheski's 70 out. Kicks it back to the pack, but, well, not as effectively. Close to the boundary line. Jolly's there along with Mumford, and it's over the boundary off hands. Throw in to be affected at the Cauldron end of the Olympic Stadium. Sydney in attack again, leading by 35 points. Tap down by Pike to the front of the pack. Reid a chance. That's of Collingwood to pick up. And he's got his brother all over his back. No, it was Morton, should I say. Thought it was 20 on 20 there for the moment. Ben Reid with the free kick for Collingwood.
O'Brien runs them out of defence. He's galloped pretty well here tonight. He's taken up the field on here. Gets the hand pass away to Heath Shaw. Now to a stationary Swan. Not too sure what to do with it. From half back for Collingwood. And he gives it straight up to Ted Richards. Magnificent night for Ted. We thought he was gone in the first quarter. Short pass. Finds Bird. He squares the ball out wide. And Reece Shaw has it. He goes for the short pass again to Roberts-Thompson. And they're just playing keepings off at the moment. And this is 60-25. And a pretty inglorious exit at the moment for Collingwood, the way it's looking. Shaw, a former Collingwood player. Reece Shaw goes for a bounce, gets deep inside the centre square, kicks to half forward, and the mark has been taken by Thomas for Collingwood. Half distance pass to Cracker. A remarkable comeback from a knee reconstruction, and Andy Cracker playing just his 4th game of the season. Short pass, and he gets it into the centre square.
They just have no forward set up at the moment. They've lost all their structure going forward whatsoever, so they have Collingwood. These short little 20-metre kicks, barely going forward. Teddy Richards is sitting about 50 metres off the play here, waiting for a long kick.
So the solo short to Pendlebury short to Goldsack, and the Pies are still only on the wing.
You can see, we can see already what's going to happen, can't we? We can predict it up here.
Well, he's kicked it out before, I think.
We didn't predict that.
No,
well,
just
Teddy would have marked they had a stadium play. They kicked it out of bounds.
It was a bit of a Kernahan floater, the kick forward over the boundary line off hands.
And once again, another inside 50, but totally ineffective. And now Sydney will set up, and they'll love this situation as a stoppage.
Throw in 40 from Collingwood's goal. No clearances yet. Jack's over the ball. Cleverly taps to Kennedy. Oh, he's dispossessed by the tackle of Swan. Wellingham got it moving. Now it's with Johnson on his non-preferred right. An up and under kick to the pocket. Is it marked? Yes, it is, and it's paid.
Blair, isn't it? Little Blair.
It is Blair who was able to mark that despite the attention of Reece Shaw. And Collingwood so desperately need a goal. And Jared Blair, who's kicked 17 goals this year, can deliver here. Well, the pockets aren't as deep here because of the narrow nature of the field, but he is running in from outside the boundary. 40 out at right half forward. Jared Blair on the right boot. It's got a bit of right to left about it, and it's pushed over the behind line for a rush score. Sydney by 34 points. 8-12-60 plays 3-8-26. Halfway through the third term on Grandstand AFL.
Just quickly, Collingwood have activated their sub in that Elliott's taken the vest off, but we don't know who the red vest is going to.
Swan lays a good tackle deep inside forward 50. Collingwood putting on some good pressure here, but they've worked off it, and Malcheski gets it away from Swan over the boundary line, and we have a throw in about 30 metres from goal.
Well, that's... they call it play on. Now it's holding the ball, isn't it? If you play on, you get tackled. But
Jolly backhands the ball down to Blair. Beams' hand pass is chopped off, and Sydney have it. Jetta gets the hand pass across to O'Keefe, who kicks short of centre wing, and the mark's taken by Reid of Collingwood. Ben Reid, the older brother, he kicks towards full forward where a pack gathers. They leap, there's no mark, it comes to the back. Grundy a little hand pass to Bird, who kicks outside defensive 50. Goods is there with O'Brien, the dual Brownlow medalist. Great play.
And they're away here. Goods has got McVeigh running over the top. Can he move it to Roberts-Thompson, or he just decides to hold it up? McVeigh and kicks inboard, finds Ryan O'Keefe at the edge of the centre square. Sydney has the foot on the throat. They're just waiting for the crack as O'Keefe pushes the ball long towards right half forward. Roberts-Thompson got dragged down illegally by Pendlebury. Free kick to LRT, 60 out at right half forward. 34 points to lead to Sydney. 18 minutes, third term. And it's Roberts-Thompson on the right boot, kicking it to the pocket, and a pack of players off hands. It's fisted over the boundary line. And we'll see a throw in. Crowd appealing for a free kick. Munford went down, and those in red and white thought he was unfairly dealt with. No free kick. Ball thrown in deep in the forward pocket for the Swans. Mumford taps down. Pendlebury had it, Wellingham had it, got slung, fell to Jack. Jack snaps, kicks a point. Oh, and this is torture for Collingwood fans at the moment, because there's no quick kill here. 35 points to lead to Sydney. That's now 21 scoring shots to 11.
And the sub's been activated. Ben Sinclair putting on the red vest. Jamie Elliott is on for Collingwood.
Here's a 50-metre penalty against Jude Bolton, who got over the mark. And the 50 goes to Wellingham, who runs right up towards the middle of the ground. How far?
You get another 50 if he's not careful.
So he's not far behind the circles. He kicks out wide to half-forward flank, and Dawes, with a very heavily strapped right knee, takes the mark. Over the top he goes. Beams backing back, gets crunched from behind. But a terrific effort by Johnson, but by G was their courage shown in front. Dane Beams is picking himself up and counting the broken bones.
He got set up unmercifully. A terrible kick that hobbled.
Pike in ruck, works it underneath. Hanbury the hand pass, away to Bolton. Concedes some ground back to O'Keefe. He's kicked to centre wing. In front, Kennedy with strength. Gets the hand pass away. Here come the Swans again. And the kick by Hanbury to centre half forward is marked by Tarrant in defence for the Pies. Well, just as much as this game is probably over for Collingwood, the rugby league's over for Manly. It's Melbourne 34-12. Another try to Billy Slater.
Thomas goes short, marked by Sidebottom, who's at centre half back for Collingwood. He chips to a free man, Tarrant. Between left half back and the wing, Tarrant marks. He now kicks to left half forward, and Blair takes the mark, despite the pressure of Matner coming back. This is a better build-up for Collingwood. Just need to pinch a couple before three-quarter time. Blair's kicked to the pocket, almost a mark there for Solo, not paid. He goes back in and tries to get it. He's wrapped up as soon as he picks up the football, and we'll see a bounce. Alex Johnson's become a footballer, isn't he?
Their whole defence, we've spoken about them this year, they work so well together, but time and time again it comes in via air, and whether it's Alex Johnson or Ted Richards or Heath Grundy, they just kill the ball consistently.
Bit of volleyball off the restart, and it ends up in the hands of Goods, who kicks Sydney clear from right half back, up and under to the wing. Bouncing ball will favour Craig Bird. He goes to ground, having gathered, and then it just falls to Kennedy. Everything's going to Kennedy. He kicks inside 50 in front of the racehorse Jeddah, who gathers. His hand pass inboard is clever for Morton. The bounce just sat up against the ex-Eagle and Tiger there, and coming late, Tuvey's able to get the ball. But then Tuvey hands it straight back to Jeddah in the goal mouth. He's good enough without giving him a goal. That's 3. Clanger is an understatement, and Sydney is out by 41 points. And I can hear websites of airlines and hotels starting to hum from Sydney-siders looking for flights and somewhere to stay next week in Melbourne.
Glad you can hear something, Quentin. I can't hear a thing down here. This is deafening. This is a great crowd in Sydney.
I'm just not sure that's Lewis Cheddar's birthday or not. He'd given up, was saying goodbye as he was leaving his forward attacking area. Suddenly he takes a view over his shoulder. It's coming back again.
I think that's the simple things. Mitch Morton was out of that contest and chased after Tuvey and got the ball back and
was great.
Forced the turnover.
Mumford wins in the middle. It comes down to Kennedy, who gets boot to ball. It bumbles up short of half forward, taken by Tarrant. To be his last game for Collingwood tonight for Chris Tarrant. Started with Collingwood, went to Fremantle, has come back to the Pies and announced his retirement before the final series, and he'll depart tonight. 9-13-67 Sydney. The Pies 3 goals, 8-26. The best defensive team in the competition all year. That's why they had a percentage of 140 through 22 rounds, and in 2 successive finals they've conceded 5 goals one time and only 3 so far here. Chain of hand passes up at centre wing until Kennedy puts boot to ball and kicks it out of bounds on the full.
So here, here's Tarrant in the back line taking the mark. Goes short, marked by Tuvey. Tuvey's at centre half back for Collingwood. There just needs to be something shown here by the Magpies. Johnson takes the mark and drives it to hoping for Cloak to come from a long way back. He didn't get to the contest. Nick Smith in front takes the mark for Sydney. Smith goes wide, marked by O'Keefe. And, this could turn into a real luxury for the Swans. As it is, they already have a day's break on either Hawthorn or Adelaide. They might get a quarter to ease down as well, because at the moment they lead by 41 points. As the kick over from half-back from the Swans is turned over. Wellingham marks on the wing. He kicks long back to half-forward. Cloak couldn't mark because of the spoil of Grundy, but Cracker roves. He turns on his left, kicks from 70 towards the goals, but in the pocket. It bounces in front of Pendlebury and over the boundary line.
And that's probably a fair advantage, isn't it? Like a day at this time of the year. I don't know how the guys who are just out of the game feel about that, but I think it might be a significant advantage.
So The ball thrown in, Collingwood in attack, flipped over the back by Jolly to Cracker. He then on to Thomas. Thomas hand passes, kicked off the ground by Johnson, out of bounds on the full free kick to Sydney.
You know, the day is huge, Parko, but I think to Quentin's point, even if this game gets out of Collingwood's reach, which is fast looking like, to take the foot off the pedal and not have to go helter-skelter for 4 quarters, that's a huge advantage in itself. So certainly good sign so far.
And a mark up on centre wing is taken by the ex-Canadian Mike Pike. He kicks down to half forward to his ruck cohort. Mumford couldn't quite haul it in, and he gets the spoil from behind. The ball spills over the boundary line, and we get a throw in at half forward for the Swans.
The ex-Canadian, Drew, he wouldn't be too happy with that. I think he'd still consider himself
still fully fledged. Gee, there they are again. A duo in ruck, and it's worked a treat all night. It comes down, Hanbury works it back to Shaw, who kicks back in the pack, bouncing around like a pinball. Shaw up with a fist to it, knocks it towards the boundary line, and another throw in.
And if I can just paint the picture, the Collingwood bench, there's no interaction between players, there's no high five, there's no encouragement to see this game out. They've still got another quarter. This could get ugly, but even the players on the bench, it's a very sombre bench at the moment.
Full time in the Rugby League, and Melbourne Storm are through to the grand final. They've beaten the reigning premiers, the Sea Eagles, 40 points to 12.
And we'll play the winner of tomorrow night's game here between Canterbury, Bankstown and South Sydney. The kick towards half forward for Collingwood, again off hands off a pack of players, and it's all red and white. Here's Teddy Richards. He got nailed after getting the kick away, much to the chagrin of the Swans faithful. He's up and okay. The kick's marked at the point of the centre square by Goods, that left half back. Goods chips to Jetta. And the roar for Lewis Jetta. Anytime he gets the ball on the right boot, drives it long. Mumford in a 2-on-2's the target. Jolly with the fist. McVeigh the rove. He tries to balk around one. Got a hand pass to Kennedy. I think he threw that to Jack. Jack threw it on his boot. No whistle. Up and under kick towards the goal mouth. Morton couldn't mark. It's punched away by Thomas over the boundary line. It goes.
How many times do you see Josh Kennedy get tackled and get a handball away? You just cannot take him to ground.
Yeah. 26 minutes third term, Sydney 9-13-67, Collingwood 3-8, 26. Another clearance for Kennedy, gives it to O'Keefe, snap to the top of the goal mouth, free kick against Shorley. Even though the mark's been taken by Morton, he pushed Tooby in the back, free kick to the Collingwood defender.
And he kicks out to side bottom in open space, out near defensive 50. 67-26. And we played 26 minutes of the third quarter.
They've just got to take a risk. They've just got to go at all costs, also to do Collingwood,
Side bottom does run around the man on the mark and kick down the line. Not a bad mark by Dawes, injured.
Well, where's Cloak now?
Kick by Dawes for Solo, smallest bloke there, but he can leap. Well, that was a poor attempt, taken by Johnson of Sydney. Back to O'Keefe, to Shaw, they're sharing it about. To Hanbury, he kicks into the middle of the ground, it bounces for Morton, dishes out the hand pass to Jack. They've opened it up here, streaming up the ground is Malcheski, off to Kennedy, back to Jack, Kieran Jack from 48. Oh, he should have kicked that goal.
A lot more time. He could have kept running in.
30.
Yeah, he could have kept running with it and kicked an easier shot.
Missed it to the left hand side. 2 behinds tonight to the son of a gun, the Rugby League International.
They've kicked a couple of beauties tonight, but they've ruined some great build-ups as well, the Swans. O'Brien in trouble at left half-back. Little kick, he got some help out there, and O'Brien gets it back. He kicks towards half-forward. 1-on-1 there for Solo. Spoiled by Hanbury, but roved by Cracker. Rush kick gathered by Tarrant, 55 out. On your last show for the Pies, Taz. Well done.
Good on you.
You've kicked a goal from 50.
And that's from him running from down back. It's not having gone forward. And when I said when Dawes took that mark out in the wing, I said, where's Cloak? He was actually walking from the back pocket, walking, not running or jogging, just walking. Didn't even make it into the front half. And so they're not able to even produce some workload. When the people were coming out the back half, we're saying, where are the people coming up at the kicker? They weren't there. So what do they do? They have to kick it long.
And that's simply when my night, the walk rate just hasn't been there.
It is only 6 goals. In inverted commas. But that's Collingwood's 4th of the night. We're almost at three-quarter time.
Well, it's their first of this third quarter, and it took 28 minutes.
They're done.
Yeah, they're playing. The cues in the racket.
Absolutely done.
Mumford leaps high, wins the hit out in the middle, rowed by Jack, hand pass to Morton, playing midfield. He kicks to full forward, and Heath Shaw takes the mark in defence for Collingwood.
Smashed in clearances, so they have as well, Collingwood in this third quarter.
Shaw, foot pass to Tarrant, foot pass to Beams, who marks inside the centre square. It opens up. It's not Beams, it's Elliott, the sub. And he finds Swan on the 50.
Well, just watching Jolly walk around the middle of the ground while his opposite number, Mumford's running everywhere, chasing, tackling, providing options. He's done as well.
Dane Swan from 50, right on the siren. It starts right and works back for a magnificent goal. They've kicked the last 2 of the quarter. Will that give them some sort of a sniff going into the last half hour? The margin is still 35 points. Sydney 9-14-68 to Collingwood, 5 goals, 8-38. And once again that score went up slowly, so the margin is 30 points. It is just 5 goals the difference at the last change. Sydney 9-14, Collingwood 5 goals, 8. For Sydney, 3 goals to Jetta, 2 to Kennedy, and the rest in singles for O'Keefe, Bolton, Roberts-Thompson and Goods. And for Collingwood, Cloak has kicked 2, and singles for Tarrant, Dawes and right on the siren, Swan.
Drew, what it does is just mean that the early train won't be so full of the Collingwood supporters. That's all it means. Just to make a comment then, they were 2 against the Tide. They were very well manufactured by individuals doing some critical thing. There wasn't much expectation of or planning and effective usage on the way, and just some terrific effort. And that Swan at the finish to be able to produce a kick after the siren of that nature to score, that shows you the quality of the bloke.
Albeit, David, it's 5 goals at 3/4 time
you're
in a preliminary final.
You're trying to keep our audience engaged. I understand that.
Right. No need to try, Bolts. I'll just throw to the breaker and we'll say something else on the other side of it. This is Grandstand AFL.
I said exactly the same thing to I'd almost use the same address. He's the greatest orator I've ever heard. Get a bit of the Bible, a bit of Churchill, a bit of Karl Marx all on the one street. I like that stuff, and I did the same thing in 1990. We went backwards, we lost by more than we did.
So at the end of the day, you say it doesn't matter what the coach says.
That's exactly right.
They're just got to take the game on, Collingwood. Yeah. Just go and have a go. And they've just really isolated the forwards so they have here one-on-one. They've just got to get the game going.
So 5 goals the margin in favour of the Swans. Mumford works it down, but he can't clear the area. There's no clearance there for Sydney.
And they've got Dan Swan sitting a full forward, 1 out, and Nick Smith playing tight on him.
The 2 ruckmen again for Sydney. Between them they work it down to Goods. A hurried kick outside the square, up towards centre half forward. Reid gathers for Collingwood, gets the hand pass out in front of Ben Johnson, who has trouble picking it up. It comes back Sydney's way, gathered by Roberts-Thompson. A slick little hand pass. And a pass down the line is perfect, and the mark taken, 50 from goal by Bird. He goes whack to the goal square. Oh, Pike was there with his hands to the ball, couldn't complete the mark, otherwise he'd have kicked the goal, and it has rushed through for a behind. It makes it 6 kicks the difference, Swans by 31.
And the kick in, looking for Brown, favours Brown, who gathers the bouncing ball at left half back, kicks Collingwood to the western wing. Cloak out muscles Grundy, takes the march for Collingwood, launches a long ball, hoping for Swan one-on-one against Smith. Swan, well spoiled by Smith, got a fist there at the last moment. At ground level, it's punched away by Reece Shaw and punched further away by Matner. Now picked up by McVeigh, close to the line. He hand passes to Matner. He in tight, hand passes to Nick Smith, who's pushed away from the ball by Goldsack. The ball's over the line. Throw in with Collingwood at right half forward.
They're having a crack the Pies.
Nearly worked the move, didn't it? Nearly worked the move straight away, Dan Swan, but great spot by Nick Smith.
Throw in 55 from Collingwood's goal. Well, both ruckmen were having a dance and forgot the football. It's picked up by Beams. The rush kick is found. Cloak. Cloak takes a mark. 45 out. Directly in front. Well, the theatre needs the goal here.
Well, it's like
Collingwood fans need a goal.
Yes, it's like a Catherine wheel at the moment. I don't know how long it'll keep going. She's firing at the moment. It's unbelievable.
Well, this would be 3 goals in the space of basically 3 minutes.
Yep, true.
Either side of the 3/4 time break. Travis Cloak has kicked 2. He's inside the centre square as he booms long and straight. Goal for Collingwood. Cloak's got 3. The Pies have got 3 in a row. That's a 4-goal game. 4-goal game. 2 minutes into the final term.
I know you see this, but remembering at the start of this quarter, they've got to kick more goals, significantly more goals in the last quarter than they've scored for the whole game. And I look, the intensity of the group at three-quarter time was up. You could see that. Sydney were much more measured about where they were, and maybe are playing measured football. They've just got to ramp it up a bit at the moment.
I just think too, Sydney have been caught a few times this year already like this in games. They've been caught by Hawthorn, they've been caught by Geelong as well in close games like this when they've went ahead, streaked ahead. I just hope that it doesn't enter their minds.
Collingwood have brought their fans back into the game. From the centre it goes Sydney's way, gathered by Kennedy. Tough hand pass out to Mumford. Standing start kick inside the 50. The ball nearly trapped by Morton. Pike keeps it going Sydney's way. Bolton, the hand pass out to Morton, who's ripped to the ground. Play on, said the umpire. Could have been a bit of height about the tackle.
Good stuff, Five.
Down goes O'Brien. And he's holding it.
Horrible.
Swans free kick right in front, 55 metres from goal.
So mate again,
Isn't
Parker.
that a play on?
I would have thought so. Mitch Morton gets the free kick.
Even the funny that the Collingwood coach agrees with me. Funny thing.
Morton for his first goal tonight, fourth for his new club, and he hits the post. Well, he's kept Collingwood in it. Well, it was probably only half a free kick, so there's a God.
And the 15,000 Collingwood supporters behind the goal went up as a man.
O'Brien up the middle, marked by Pendlebury. Pendlebury's kick to the wing, marked by Dawes. Just defensive side of it. Juggled it, controlled it, hand passes to Thomas. He plays on, the kick there, looking for Fasolo. Couldn't mark, Rackett crashes in, no free kick.
Got in the second.
Yeah, no, the non-officiating umpires played it.
Good ball.
Yeah, great umpire.
Free kick to Cracker on the western wing. He kicks the left half forward. Jolly the target. Richards the spoil boundary, the winner.
Still very wide by Collingwood, you know. They're still not taking a risk with the ball. That's a wide kick to Darren Jolly's spoil out of bounds, reset for the Swans.
Ball thrown in between wing and left half forward for Collingwood. Jolly taps down looking for Fasolo, who picks up, gives to Johnson on the wing. He by hand to Pendlebury. Kick inside 50 is a chance here, and a mark taken by Goldsack. 40 out directly in front.
How good was the kick, Pendlebury? He just put it in the space of forward of him, drew him to the ball. Wonderful kick, put up a bit of height on it too. That is class to be able to do that.
We haven't seen that though, have we? No, we haven't seen that entry into the forward 50, that little dinky kick to advantage that he is so good at. That kick off the outside of the boot or just taking a bit of heat off it. So many players in their outfit who can do that, who've got that immense skill and talent, but it's just been lacking so far.
This to make it 20 points. Tyson Goldsack from right on 50. Good hit. Look straight. He's got it. Another goal for the Pies.
They're up and about. Look at the energy they've got now.
Collingwood has kicked 2 goals to Sydney's 2 behinds to start the final term. It's the last 4 goals in the game to the Magpies. Sydney 9-16-70. Collingwood 7-8-50.
I think we buried the body while it was still alive, I think.
There's some good bodies on there.
You're on your own, Parker. We thought they were always a shot. I tell you what, the next goal becomes just... You don't want to throw cliches around, but it is just a huge one, isn't it, the next one?
And the Swans have done their activation of the substitute, Mitch Morton with the red vest on, and we see Luke Parker now on.
Gee, they were 7 goals up, Sydney, and coasting. Mumford wins in the middle. It comes to Jack eventually. A high ball to the front edge of the square. Off hands Hanbury. Terrific hand pass to Jetta, who didn't take it cleanly. Tarrant is back there for Collingwood. Hand pass back to Johnson. Out wide, and Wellingham takes the mark at half-back flank for the Pies. Bit of momentum now with the visitors. He kicks over the wing. He wants Cloak. He's swamped by 2 of them. Cloak kept his feet though. Gets back after the ball and applies a good tackle. It spills to Smith. He works the hand pass into Grundy. Off to O'Keefe. Oh, there's space down the middle. Bird takes the mark near the circles. And the short pass, and just on the ground is Parker to take the mark forward of the circles. The sub should be fresh. Kicked by Parker. Short. And was the mark taken? No, wasn't completed by Pike. Socked away by the Pies. Comes to
Reedy.
Malcheski inside the 50. Bolton is there, but his hand pass chopped off by Tarrant. He gave it away to O'Keefe. The Swans a chance 40 metres from goal. A bit of a fumble by Parker, but he regathers and snaps for goal. Punched away by Reid for the Pies.
Harry O'Brien runs through the right back pocket. He kicks a short one. It's a good one too.
He's been good. He's been super tonight, O'Brien.
Marked by Goldsack a long way from home. He's at right half back. Kicks to the back straight wing. Dawes with 2 to beat. Couldn't. Mark taken by Richards coming across the pack while Mattner was wrestling with the key player for the Magpies. So it's Richards on the wing. A high kick back to attacking 50 for Sydney. Goods got Reid out of the way and took the mark in his bread basket.
You just need key forwards to stand up when you're under pressure in finals football, and this is a huge mark. You know, it'd be great if you could go back and finish it, but it just takes all the pressure off.
Well, he's right on the edge of his range.
Yeah,
isn't
he is.
Man on the mark, 45 out, 10 in from the boundary at left half forward. Sydney need a settler. Adam Goods high. Don't think it's got the distance from 52. Big pack on the line of mark. Not paid by the umpire. Not paid to big Sam Reid. That looked like a mark, and now it's a bounce.
I think Mumford actually had the most part of it, and Reid has come through and...
playback underway. Here's the bounce. It's hacked out of there by the Magpies, and it pitches close to the line in the pocket. Sydney still in attack here. Bumbling ball picked up by Hanbury of Sydney. Hand pass to Jetta. Hand pass to Nick Smith. Slaps it on his boot from 40, and it's punched through for a point. Right to the line. A desperate fist from Heath Shaw. Sees it through for a behind. Sydney by 21 points.
I'll tell you one thing, boys. We spoke about...
on the vision of replay, that certainly looked like it was behind the goals, and you could hear the crowd actually roaring as well when they saw the replay on the screen.
And guess who it was?
And Smith gets there to punch this kick in over the boundary line on the 50.
Chelsea Robbie's going to need police protection.
Oh, jeez. That's a goal.
Gee, where's the replay? Does look suspiciously like a goal.
Can't they call for a replay on that?
It's back in midfield. By gee, the Heat's come up in the last quarter. Not playing too many free kicks either. Pendlebury a hand pass away. Side bottom. Intercepted by Goods, who runs onto it. He kicks to Reid, who's outnumbered 2-1. And Heath Shaw takes the mark in defence for the Pies. It's 71-50. Sydney by just 21 points after leading by nearly 7 goals.
Tarrant's kick at right half back's a terrible one. He mishit it. Floated to the wing, and Johnson
had options inside too.
Yeah, he missed all of those.
Johnson takes an uncontested mark for Sydney. Alex Johnson kicks, so that's close to out on the full. O'Brien gets there to fist it over the line. And it will be a throw in between centre wing and left half forward. Sydney led by 42 points, 25 minutes into the third quarter. Now it's a 21-point ball game. Travelled 10 minutes of the final term. Beams emerges from the throw in for the Pies at right half back. Gives to O'Brien under pressure. Up and under kick is marked by Hanbury. And Hanbury's a kick and a half from home at left half forward. And Stagnant plays in front of him. So he kicks it to the pocket. Roberts Thompson the target. Off the pack over the line. Another boundary throw in the left forward pocket. This is Grandstand AFL at the preliminary final. Sydney 9-17-71 lead Collingwood 7-8-50. 11 minutes played, final turn.
So the Swans goalless in the last quarter, but what they are good at is stopping goals. Collingwood desperate here in defence. Off the ground by Blair. Little hand pass back and side bottom out of defence. But it's marked for Sydney at the front edge of the centre square. Grundy. He short passes. Oh, Mumford drops an absolute sitter. He was thinking about what he was going to do with it after he took the mark. Sydney still have it though. Hand pass by Grundy into Reece Shaw. He finds Goods, who leaps and marks 40 from goal. And surely Adam Goods, with a few deep breaths, will go back and ping the Swans' first goal in this last quarter to make it pretty much safe.
I think Mumford knew what he was doing. He was outside his distance, so he dropped the ball.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Goods kicked a goal in the second quarter. Can he get his second for the night? No groan from the crowd behind the goals.
Keeping him in the game, aren't they?
It's limply away to the right-hand side. He's kicked 1 goal, 2 tonight.
And talking about limping, Dale Thomas has hurt his right ankle and he's very properly. Ted Richards has said, I'll take him, so he can probably have a bit of a couple of quieter minutes.
Sydney by 22 points. O'Brien has kicked it out of bounds on the full inexplicably. trying to switch from the right back pocket to the left. And Lewis Jetta's got it. He plays on with a short pass marked by Craig Bird.
And you feel sorry for Harry O'Brien. He's the one that's been trying to create some run and create it. You know, when you turn the ball over like that, it's disappointing for him. But at least he's trying to do things. And at least he's trying to actually take the game on a bit for Collingwood.
One of the few errors he's made for the night. He's been a standout for them for the fact you've said he's taken risks all the time. That was unfortunately a very poor kick.
Bird a bit worse than 45 degrees to the right from 45 metres out. That's a wonderful kick, and that should be the game. Collective relief from about 50,000 Sydney fans at the Olympic Stadium. They've broken the run of 4 goals of Collingwood to go back out to a 28-point lead. Bird with his first. Sydney 10-18, 78 lead Collingwood 7-8-50, 13 minutes into the final term.
Well, that'll be the sealer. It should be anyway. We've been wrong tonight. We were speaking not too far ago about Sydney perhaps having the benefit of coasting through this final quarter to have a great setup for next week's match. That's not going to happen. This game's well and truly alive, but a great kick under pressure there from Craig Bird to kick the goal that Sydney needed to alleviate some pressure.
Jolly wins in the middle, but it's sharked by Jack of Sydney. His kick up towards half forward, a high bouncing ball taken by Tuvey, hand pass to Thomas, run down by Goods, but Thomas shrugs the tackle, has a bounce, the hand pass missed the target by metres. It's at centre half forward though. Mumford's back there for Sydney. Smith shrugs a tackle. His kick is smothered beautifully by Blair. Blair floats the hand pass over the top to Thomas. Back to Blair, 45 out. Beautiful short pass. The umpire said it didn't go far enough. Fasolo had to play on. He centres the ball. Swan is there. Can't take the mark. Well done by Wellingham as he gets the hand pass back, and the shot for goal is offline. Beams are behind to the Pies.
So 27 points the lead to Sydney.
Well, I thought earlier on that Elliott was beamed because he's got the tap down the left arm. So everyone's wearing them these days.
And there's one of the bearded brigade. That's Malcheski with a kick in, marked by McVeigh. Jared McVeigh in the right back pocket. Misto 5, Plato 6.
Plato 6, yes.
He'll get another trip to the grand final, you'd think. He kicks towards the wing. Pike, the target, couldn't mark. Collingwood do the roving. Beams gives to Wellingham a rush kick. I think it took a hand. It did. Touch play on as Elliott grabs it. Hand passes to side bottom. A long way from goal, so he just kicks it towards full forward in the cloak direction. Backing back, Malcheski couldn't mark. Cracker a chance to rove. And a telling hand from Richards at the right time again for Sydney. He just stopped Cracker surging towards goal, then picked up the crumbs and gives it off to Shaw. That's Reese of the Sydney variety. He hand passes it on to O'Keefe. Long kick to the wings, a shocker. 2-on-1 against Jetta, marked by Johnson of Collingwood.
He squares the ball into O'Brien, who marks inside the centre square. Further across the ground of Wellingham. Now he kicks to an unmarked Heath Shaw on the wing, 30 metres in the clear. And he pumps it down towards half forward flank near the 50, and Thomas takes the mark. 78-51, a 27-point lead to the Swans. Centering kick didn't quite get to Elliott, and it's chopped off by the Swans in defence. Run out by Reece Shaw, who goes a short pass to LRT.
Well done, Josh Kennedy. Puts the hand in there. Great interception.
They've done it all night. The leading forwards have just had no space. The midfield from Sydney have dropped back and cut off so many leads time and time again.
Roberts Thompson kicks to a contest on centre wing. Chance for the Pies to win this. Side bottom gets the hand pass to Wellingham, but it missed the target and beat Wellingham out of bounds. Hanbury gets up feeling a bit sore.
Yes, he'll have to wear that, I think.
You'd wonder how few of these blokes are going to come up next week for the grand final, even though they've got an extra day over whoever it's going to be, Crows or Hawthorn. It comes towards the forward 50 here for Collingwood. Taken by Swan, who spins out of trouble. Kicks to full forward. Thomas, the only hope. He was outnumbered 2-1. And Ted Richards, again, has taken the mark. Boy, did the All-Australian selectors get that one right.
He's kicked it to Reece Shaw, who's got a bit of space at right half back. Shaw marks, kicks to the wing. Bird, careened into by Heath Shaw, who wasn't looking at the footy. And, hold on. Reece was coming in to have a punch on with his brother there.
He still wants him.
He's still having a bit at him, isn't he?
And there's a bit of verbaling between the two brothers there. Bird with the free kick, defensive side of the wing. Kicks to a 2-on-2. That's probably, that's taking the attention away from the footy, which is on the wing and in Collingwood's hands. They're still, I just need to kick a couple quickly. Swan tried a little kick there and it went straight to Reece Shaw. Mongrel kick marked by Pike, not pretty but effective. Mike Pike's got it just forward of the wing.
You know what, their father, Ray Shaw, he'd be watching tonight. He'd say, come on, get it on.
Get into it, boys.
Their mother's going to be upset, though.
Pike kicks to right half forward. No one flies with Kennedy. He takes an uncontested mark. That's unforgivable. There was about 8 players around that pack and only one man flew.
Has he been the most significant player here tonight?
Kicks for the pocket, looking for Goods, who ran his opponent under the football beautifully.
Just keep your eye on the ball. Goodsy, fantastic, wasn't it? Just watching the ball all the way.
Brown was led the merry dance by the champ there, and Adam Goods, well, he's had a few set shots in this quarter. This is the toughest of them. Right on the boundary in the right forward pocket.
He'll kick this one.
A Goodsy banana would just, the Sydney fans are saying, come on, Adam.
Doing the Teddy Johnson.
He's going to go the left foot hooked kick. He hasn't hit it all that well. It's not even going near the goal line, but it's marked at the top of the goal square by Mumford. There's a floater up and down the mine shaft.
The Goodsy will need to go down to Geelong and get a bit of Stevie Johnson tuition on that one, I think.
Shane Mumford eyes the black and white army behind the goals at the southern end, and he'll slam the Sherrin through the major opening. Right into him. To book the ticket, lock, stock and barrel. This for a 33-point lead. The Bloods are going to the big dance. Mumford's first. Sydney 11-18-84. Collingwood 7-9-51.
And the attendance has just come up, 57,156 here tonight for this preliminary final.
Thanks, Shannon.
No, I think the NRL will win tomorrow night. Gee, massive atmosphere here now. The Swans fans are rollicking. Approaching the 20-minute mark of the last quarter. Dawes in ruck wins. Down to Bolton in game 300. He works it out. O'Keefe, hand pass astray. Grabbed by Johnson. Back comes O'Keefe to tackle him beautifully, but no whistle for the free kick. Hanbury works hard for the ball as though the scores were level. It's still a real scrap there. Pendlebury emerges with the ball. Slings out a hand pass. Straight to the opposition, O'Keefe. His kick no distance. Punch to the front. Pendlebury again works hard. Hand pass out the back door to Brown. Brown's kick to half forward for the Pies, almost hauled in by Elliott, the sub, on late in the game, and run over the boundary line by Ted Richards. And what a game he has played.
Look at him stand on the outer side for Teddy.
Absolutely, he looked washed up in the first quarter with leg injury, whether it was knee, ankle, or combination of all things. A mark on centre wing to O'Brien, who goes for a gallop again, not for the first time. He centres the ball in towards centre half forward. All Sydney, but it comes to the front. A kick by Beams round the corner. That falling over before the ball could arrive, you wouldn't believe it. Wellingham, I don't know what happened there. He had to change direction, and base over apex he went.
Goods cleaned up and kicks to Jetta. He can't kick a goal from there. He's at right half back. Chips a short ball to Parker. He'll have a nervous week, no doubt, with Ben McGlynn coming back into the team, perhaps.
And these next few, I suppose, moments, 5, 6, 7 minutes are fantastic, knowing you're pretty much there in the grand final. You can soak it up a small bit and just hold on to the football, because I remember in Balti in 2006 we were saying we played Fremantle here, and it was that moment, you can just kind of soak it up a small bit.
Didn't have that luxury in 05. He's off the pack. Roberts Thompson runs to 50 and kicks a galloping goal. For a private school kid raised on rugby. Sydney by 39 points. 12-18-90 to Collingwood 7-9-51, and Lewis Roberts Thompson. Well, just another one of those extraordinary football stories. How good was he as a key defender in your teams, Tig and Craig? And here he is, looking all the makings of a key forward that might give the Crows or Hawks some trouble next week.
Absolutely, and he's just another player in this team that plays their part. Everyone has got such a valuable contribution, such an even spread of good players as we've seen again tonight.
And the first one to rush over and give him a big hug, it was Jude Bolton. What a way to celebrate game 300 with a win that'll propel you to a grand final. From the bounce, Blair has it. Umpires put the whistle away. It's gouged out by the Swans. We're back in the circles. Beams in there to win a hard ball to Pendlebury. It comes up the ground. Little hand pass by Thomas. Off to Johnson, who kicks long and bounces it home for a goal. Ben Johnson for the Pies.
Well, they haven't given up.
No.
I think it's been admirable, really, in the circumstance they found themselves on the scoreboard. I mean, what they didn't bring was they just didn't have it in the finish. The emotion of the last couple of weeks to actually lift up and still be scoring goals and certainly getting right back in the game. They've gone up, in my admiration, enormously tonight. I think it's been a wonderful effort.
I agree. Written off at three-quarter time by most people here, and they've stood up and they've had a crack.
Only one person.
33 points the lead. Ben Johnson, that's his first goal of the season. Could be Collingwood's last. Bounce in the middle at the 23.5-minute mark. O'Keefe's underneath it, ferrets it out to Mumford. He gives to McVeigh. McVeigh kicks it towards half forward. Nathan Brown and Mike Pike the closest to it. Pike taps it after it bounced. Tapped it only to O'Brien. Oh, he sold it down and got tackled by Bird. Is he caught with a football? No, he got rid of it just in time over the boundary line for a throw-in. So Sydney in attack. Ball thrown in about 30 from the Swans' goal. Fisted back towards the line. Parker and O'Brien battle. Neither can get a handle on it. Back over the line. Well, almost 60,000 to see it. It won't be a third consecutive trip to grand final week or weeks for Collingwood, as is the case has been in recent history. Ball thrown in. Under the pack, a chance for the Pies here. Blair with a hand pass, or it sets Heath or it's us. Did really well. Flipped the hand pass to Beams, who's tackled. Oh no, the free kick is going against Shaw. I thought that was a fair hand pass over his shoulder. The umpire said he threw it. Oh, it's Jude Bolton's free kick. The crowd will realise this now. Here we go. He's already got a goal tonight. And now the crowd realise, oh, it's Jude. Hold on. It's your party. The ticket is booked, but this will be a sweet moment late in the game, in game 300 for Jude Bolton. 45 metres out on the right. He's got it! And he's jumping around, celebrating with his teammates for a moment, and then he runs to the bench. 96 plays 57, a 39-point lead to Sydney.
Well, he was going to the bench. He did a U-turn. He's gone back on.
Told to go back out there.
Teddy Richards has come to the bench. By gee, they might have to do some work on him this week. He's played magnificently, but under duress, and he's clearly injured. Jude Bolton celebrated like a kid at his 4th birthday party. 96 to 57. 26 minutes gone on the last quarter. Swan bursts out of the middle for the Pies. It sits up beautifully. The hand pass for Solo back to Elliott. A good pass. And the mark taken in the bread basket by Goldsack. About 30 metres from goal.
It's taken the 26 mark of the final quarter to get a bit of play like that.
Goldsack shoots and misses to the near side. 1-2 to the former defender.
An outstanding centre bounce effort to retrieve it. 2 good kicks to set up the shot. Wasn't finished up, but that's been the first time I've seen them do that all night.
Malcheski to himself, and then a long ball from the pocket out to a pack. Darren Jolly's there to double fist it away, but no one can pick it up. It's back over the line.
Just having a look at Ryan O'Keefe out there, still directing traffic. Yeah. He's been outstanding tonight all season, but he just keeps winning the footy in and another, and such a general around those stoppages.
Ball thrown in right half forward for Collingwood, but it's Sydney's clearance. The chain of hands ends up with Bird, who got dumped by Goldsack as soon as he got it. Bouncing ball in the middle of the ground. Pendlebury's hand pass picked up by O'Brien. He under pressure, hand passes to Blair. Rush kick towards full forward. Coming out Cloak. Back with a flight to fist from Malcheski. Over the line it goes. Well, a good point you make, David, about the pride that the Pies have shown in this last quarter. Yeah. Beaten by a better team. But, well, from the seemingly impossible, they had the hearts of fluttering for a moment or two by kicking 4 consecutive goals either side of three-quarter time. No clearance from the throw-in deep in the Pies forward line, another bounce.
I don't care how good you are, to be able to restabilise and do what they've done. It's easy to fall away, easy to get up. People would forgive you for that, but they didn't. I think that's a fantastic effort.
Here's the bounce. It comes out towards the boundary line. Beams with a snap from near the boundary line. A terrific goal!
Great.
A phenomenal goal by Dane Beams.
One of the best of the night.
Right? Oh, and he's had some competition. I mean, we're looking at that versus Willis Jetta's goal. That is just... It's one of those ones where it almost defies physics how it can actually sneak through there.
Well, you've named them both. They're both from almost the same spot. One kicking the ball off the outside of his right boot and banana back, the other one hooking it back with his left foot.
He's hooking it back across his body on the left side, running towards the boundary. That angle is absolutely minuscule to get that ball through there.
And a fitting way to finish for him. He's been just
very good.
Super player this year.
All year has been probably the best there, hasn't he? He's been consistently at a high level all year.
That's now 4 goals each in the last quarter.
Will we see Travis Clark in the Collingwood jersey again?
Interesting. I think
all the postscripts there, that's one of them. Nice tap down in the middle from Jolly to Pendlebury. Pendlebury's kicked a half forward. Wellingham couldn't mark under pressure from Reece Shaw. Great tackle from the aforementioned Cloak to wrap the ball up at right half forward for Collingwood and force a bounce. We know it's the end for Chris Tarrant.
Nick Malcheski, another 2006 player, but missed out 2005. There's a few around there.
Ted Richards, Joe McVeigh.
Mumford tap down, but straight to Swan, and Swan's kick for Collingwood inside 50, finds a target. It's marked by Fasolo, 35 out directly in front.
And of course, Reece Shaw as well obviously played in that losing grand final against Brisbane.
No mucking around for Fasolo. He goes back and kicks a goal from 40 metres out.
He's the one that worries me a bit at Collingwood, Fasolo. What he does some very special. He's got a fantastic vertical leap. He's strong, got good hands. Kicks a good goal like that, just doesn't do enough. I reckon he doesn't have a great tank. He just doesn't keep involved long enough, which suggests he's a power player, not an endurance-based player. Should be in the midfield. Should be able to be used with that, and they haven't been able to do that.
And spend the pre-season, obviously, in the next 6 months doing that and trying to get the tank up, get the engine up, and give him another weapon to their midfield.
Sydney 13-18-96, Collingwood 10-10-70. Gee, Swannies fans have waited for a while to get one over the Pies group. Not a bad scene to get one.
Collingwood beaten them 11 times in a row. But the Swans are going to prevail here tonight. Not long to go. Jolly out of the middle. Collingwood have kicked the last 2. There it is. The Swans are into the grand final. And Collingwood's brave season comes to an end a week short. The first 3 quarters by 20, by 7 and by 3, but they won the last quarter, Collingwood, by 4 points. Sydney 13-18-96 have defeated Collingwood 10-10-70. The Swans into the grand final for the first time since the mid-2000s. Margin 26 points in favour of Sydney, and once again the week off proves decisive.
feelings, no doubt, in the Reid and Shaw families, but outside of that, there's a lot of disappointed Collingwood fans and a lot of happy Sydney fans, and I'd suggest fans of other clubs as well. That's the Swans have prevailed over the Magpies tonight. But another brave season from them, as Drew rightly said, but not good enough tonight. And Sydney go to the grand final for the first time in 6 years.
And also, obviously, Jude Bolton's occasion in 300 games is something that's kind of getting washed in a small bit in this occasion. But Jude to play 300 games and then to play 301 in a grand final, of course, is not forgotten about.
Well, the Swans are in the middle of the Olympic Stadium, slapping backs. The Magpies. Well, here's Chris Tarrant. Here's Chris Tarrant just walking to the southern end, and the Magpies. Well, here's Chris Tarrant. Here's Chris Tarrant just walking to the southern end, and he's leading the group of Magpies to thank the supporters. And the Magpie, come Docker, come Magpie again, is going to lead his beloved Collingwood off the ground after a career, well, 4 games short of 200 games for Collingwood. 268 in all.
He's going off, and it was lovely to see his teammates go to him say, no, you walk down there, you deserve this, and they pushed him ahead back to the goal square. He was almost about to go up the race. I think that's a great chance for the fans, the really serious ones who've got up here tonight, to say thank you and say goodbye to him. I think that was a lovely, just another lovely gesture was the response of the Swans team in total, going to Jolly and giving a big cuddle after the game. I suppose the history that he helped create here with this team, they responded acknowledging what he'd done in this game and what he's actually done for that team prior to going back to Collingwood.
And Chris Tarrant's actually walked to the fence at the southern end and just exchanged a few handshakes and high fives with a few fans. What an amazing career. 5-time leading goal kicker. Maligned at times in front of goals, and then reinvented himself at the Dockers, and then became so reinvented that Collingwood wanted him back.
Terrific player. Touched me up quite a few times early on in my career, I can tell you that, but he was an outstanding forward, wasn't he? Reinvented himself as a terrific backline player, and he's got the just deserts of Collingwood to come down here and finish off his career in style.
And he leads the Magpies from the field. And as ever, as we go through the finals and teams fall off the perch, we have these stories of sadness among the opposite scene of jubilation, and there's a big red and white flag that's been unfurled out from the third deck out on the back straight wing, about where the 200 start was when this was configured as the Olympic Stadium. And the Swans fans go to that northern end to thank their fans. Repeating the final scores: Sydney by 26 points, 13-18, 96 to 10-10, 70.
I wonder how many of these Swans fans are going to get to Melbourne for the granny, or is this the last time they get to see them in the flesh here tonight and they watch them on TV next week?
Well, it's certainly very, very difficult to get tickets. You've got to turn your phone off.
There'll be some.
With a lot of context.
There'll be some. I think the ballot, the official ballot, takes place for the membership tickets, so there'll be some anxious moments, no doubt, for these members, because as in 05 and 06, there will be a huge wave of support that'll make the journey down from Sydney. And not to discount the old South Melbourne faithful.
Certainly.
We've
always had a great support in Melbourne. We played down there, and certainly won't change next Saturday.
Have a look at Ted Richards. Honestly, he can hardly walk. What a game he played.
Great scenes here as the Sydney fans are still out on the ground, just mingling with the fans. Handshakes and high fives. And it's a great credit to this football club that revels in flying under the radar, Craig and Tig. You know about this, and John Longmire, but this is a team that has hardly had a blip in the last decade, and it's back to the grand final again.
And a lot of credit's got to go to John Longmire, and a lot of stuff he doesn't like taking credit for as well, and he likes to go under the radar. But he's added another bit to this football team. That outside run this year they've added to this football team has made it very, very difficult to play against the Sydney Swans, because now they're not just an inside contested football team. You've got blokes like Lewis Jetta charging around and Kieran Jackal winning inside and outside football, but adding that different ball to the string, which has obviously been great. And look, I think the brand of football and defensive style of football has always been there from Sydney, and it certainly stands up in finals football like we talked about beforehand.
Well, the good thing for others in the competition is that they haven't had to bottom out.
Yeah.
They've been able to keep up with different players. They've been able to engage with players who've been around the edges of other clubs, brought them in, and they've performed.
And now it's the fine duty of Ryan O'Keefe and Adam Goods to raise Jude Bolton to their shoulder. And in his 300th game, Jude Bolton has chaired from the field, and he's got the one thing he cherished, a game next week.
And now it begins for these boys. They walk in and you can almost remember that feeling. It is just this excitement. Like they're obviously tired and they've played their hearts out tonight, but it's a whole new ball game now. The anticipation and the excitement for what begins for them. A lot of players, obviously the first grand final they'll have played in, and it's just
if Hawthorn were to get through, it was only a few. I made the effort to come up to Sydney for the Hawthorn versus Sydney game, three or 4 weeks ago. And what a game it was. And there's no reason why, if Hawthorn are able to get over Adelaide, that we can't see something similar. It's not no lay down misères, I'm telling you now. I'm not sure how Adelaide can compete tomorrow. We'll wait and see. But if Hawthorn were to play Sydney, that will draw an unbelievable audience to go and watch it, because they know what they're going to get, and millions will watch it on television, because it conjures up right now the kind of game and the closeness of contest that we're going to see. So I'm excited about that.
And the games within the game, Josh Kennedy, Benny McGlynn, hopefully if he can get up, there's playing against the old side, if that is the case with Hawthorn. It's just one thing after the other.
Well, just before we get to that, Craig Bolton, David Park and Ty Kennelly, tell us how it happened tonight. Sydney in front at every change. They jumped them, led by 20 points at quarter time, and were basically able to hold that throughout. 27 points at half time. It was 42 points about 5 minutes before three-quarter time, but Collingwood kicked a late couple to make it just there. The 5-goal lead to Sydney at three-quarter time. The Pies got the first 2 of the last quarter to get within 20. And then Sydney kicked the next 3 to indeed basically kill off the resurgence. 26 points, the final margin, 13-18-96 to 10-10-70.
Well, just as a general lead-in, for once the ABC box in unison was able to get it right.
The hoodoo broke the hoodoo.
The hoodoo broke the hoodoo. That's the first game tonight. The second
make us hoodoo gurus?
The second thing is that I think, give us some kudos for the first time ever. I'll take a bit. We actually wrote the script pretty well. And I reckon it was there facing us in the planning and the preparation for the night. We understood what would happen. We all had this bit of an uneasy feel deep down that Collingwood's record, and that can be in the back of the mind. I think you mentioned that, Ty, at some stage, that if you get reasonably close at three-quarter time, Collingwood is saying we can get you, and Sydney is saying, gee, we've been in this position before and we've mucked it up on the road home, and it didn't happen so. But they've been brave, very persistent, very spirited, a lot of heart in Collingwood to come from where they've come over the last 2 weeks to actually get here and then even get back into the game. We're even talking about them as a partial chance at the start of the last quarter, and they ought to be complimented, because there was nothing at all happening in the way that they played. In every facet of the game, Sydney were better, I think, absolutely better, but they did not stop trying, and that's all you can ask of your team.
And they actually won the last quarter, by 4 points out of the Collingwood. It just shows the character that actual football team has, it was fantastic. But Sydney just flew out of the blocks, and we said it at half-time, their midfielders had kicked 6 goals compared to Collingwood's no goals at all from their midfielders, so, but they looked really, really sharp all night, so they did, and they kept Collingwood in the game, they had 31 shots to 20 shots on goal throughout the game, so their inaccuracy was coming back to leave Collingwood, I suppose, in the game, and that's certainly something looking forward to next week that they'll be thinking about and working on. But look, I think as a group, their defence was fantastic. Teddy got a knock early in the game and looked great he did when he came back on, and was fantastic throughout. Alex Johnson played a good game as well down back, but their midfield again was superb. And also, look, I think Lewis Roberts-Thompson's role in keeping Ben Reid almost, just wasn't out there at all. Certainly had to keep responsible for Lewis Roberts-Thompson, so he had Ben Reid, and it certainly made made the Swans going forward with the ball a lot easier and more avenues towards goal, because he certainly wasn't a thorn in their thread going forward.
In the 11 games in a row where Collingwood beat them, the Swans didn't score 100. They haven't scored 100 again, but it's been their defence which has won the day. And they've had the best defence all year, and that could win them a premiership.
Yeah, and it's that all over ground defence, Drew. That pressure is just, you can watch it, you can just see it happening. It's tackle after tackle, it's hit in after hit in. Collingwood would go forward. Their forward entries were nothing to behold. They weren't great forward entries, and it makes the sitting defence look good. They work so well together. They get across. They spoiled and they spoiled and they spoiled. And then this slingshot or this fast break football we've come to see so much from Sydney this year, they're not only great defensively, they've shown they've got real attacking flair. Tig mentioned that Horse has brought this outside run and pace, and no better example than Lewis Jetta getting that ball on the half-back flank, doing what was that, 150-metre dash? Thank you very much. But plenty of other examples.
I think he only bounced it 3 times.
There are plenty of other examples as well when they shut them down in their back half, they ground them away, and then they would get them out and go away, and through good ball use and a good forward line structure, they're able to play a really open, free-flowing brand of football, which is something that you don't usually... it's not something you associate with Sydney's play. It's usually over the last 10 years been a very grinding style. They've got this attacking part of their game now, which will give them great confidence going into whoever they're going to play next week.
And just on next week, before we get some stats on this game, you guys are pretty well connected with the footy club. What do you know about Ben McGlynn?
Yeah, I had a chat to Benny last week, and he's confident that he will get up. Look, he's an extreme professional, and he'll push the border. He's mentally a very, very tough bloke. The only thing is, if it is a hamstring, you've got to test it flat out. Probably the Thursday at training, so they won't really know until the Thursday. With a hamstring injury, no matter how mentally tough you are and trying to push through injuries, if it's a hamstring, a muscle injury, you just can't go if it's not right.
And what you know of John Longmire and the selection committee? How much risk are they willing to take with him?
I think to your point, Ty, they will test him flat out on Thursday. He'll have to sprint, he'll have to train, he'll have to kick. Otherwise, I would be very surprised if he'd go into a game.
He's not going to be able to fool them, put it that way, and he's not going to be able to fool the medical staff. When you've got a hamstring injury, maybe if it's a joint or a dislocation or something like that, you could fool them and say it's okay. But when it comes to a muscle injury, they'll make him sprint flat out.
And David, is it the disadvantage of not being the important player a foot taller? They're a bit easier to replace those type of guys, with no disrespect.
Oh, gee, I'm not saying that on national television. Radio. Who would he? I mean, Morton's probably the one who'd go out, I think, for McGlynn. If McGlynn's fit and able, and I reckon they get this pretty much right these days. With a hamstring, it would be a huge risk if he hadn't done everything. And I wouldn't have taken. You take risks on other type injuries, but a hamstring after 2 weeks, he's had. You will have had 21 days. You'll have the 21 days. I don't know how bad a hamstring was, but it looked pretty.
Yeah, he was pretty devastated when he came from the ground.
You can't do it with 3 players and a sub. It is far too risky. So they will look. I'm going to know. They will definitely go flat out on Thursday, and he'll either be right or won't be right.
And you'd think on Thursday, otherwise.
Yeah. And you think knowing John, they'd probably go to cautious side. If it was like going into a grand final like that, if there was any bit of a doubt at all, you'd go to cautious side.
And David, if Hawthorn make it by winning tomorrow night, will Guerra come up? Or is he in the same boat?
I think he's in exactly the same boat. And whilst they're able to cover him, he was a crucial, the month leading up to when he went out, people look at him and say he's small, good user of the ball, etc. But he was playing very aggressively, winning a lot of his own ball. He's a real marshal, tells them where to go. He's one who can zone off, he reads and finishes so beautifully. If he's able, it's a bit like McGlynn. I think McGlynn is a little power ball, and I think he's very important and does kick goals. He's got that aggressive nature about him. But I think you're absolutely right. Hawthorn would be, I think, making exactly the same evaluation and decision on him as they will be for McGlynn. That's an interesting one. I wouldn't play either. Well, if you're asking me right now, with little I know, at a grand final, to be playing one short by quarter time would be diabolical.
I'll ask you this: will Hawthorn get up?
Well, that's the point. There's absolutely no certainty. But I went to the game in Adelaide last week. When they were up and going, Fremantle, they absolutely annihilated Adelaide. But you could almost see somebody pulled the cork out of the bottle and it all came blowing out. And they just could not compete because their game is a full-on press game. They work so hard with and without the ball that it takes enormous energy to do it. They didn't have it. The 2 6 days and the 2 travels across the continent absolutely got them. Now, no, the coach, Ross, got up and said, no excuses, no everything else, but we all know, the sports scientists will tell us that what they were attempting to do could be done for a quarter and a half, and that's exactly what happened. Hawthorn have had exactly the same preparation in terms of time off as Sydney have had. They are jumping out of the skin. They'll have a full quadrant probably. Guira maybe a week later, but a full quadrant now of the players that they need. It's going to take an unbelievably good effort and some terrible off footy from Hawthorn, i.e. not putting it through the goal for 8 or 10 shots or something to keep them alive and well. If they win, well, no, I won't do that.
I've just got a phone call from Kevin Sheedy. He's saying, remember 1999, David.
Well, yeah, but 1999 was based, that's interesting to say, but 1999 was based on them kicking 2-11 or something in the third quarter. The very thing I'm talking about. Dominate the game, don't put them away, and leave the door open.
And North Melbourne fans are thinking of 98 against Adelaide in the grand final.
It's an identical thing. And Geelong are thinking about the thing in 2008 grand final. So it's not all over. You can do things that you have control over. The opposition weren't there, and you leave the door open for them. So it'll be interesting tomorrow. I'd be very surprised if Adelaide were able to win. A day advantage now for Sydney. You talked about that, and the boys said there's some significance. We're not sure how much. We could get a classical grand final as good as 1989 or something like that, where there's nobody left standing at the finish and there's a kick or two either way, and that's what the competition needs right now.
So if Hawthorn win tomorrow, they'll have one less day into the grand final than the Swans will have, but the Swans have to travel to get there. Does that make any difference?
Oh, I'd take the day. I think they're so used to travelling. I'd take the extra day recovery for sure every day of the week. We're talking about 6 months.
And let's talk about Adelaide as well, because if Adelaide win, they've got to go home, then come back.
Yeah.
For parades as well.
Yeah, that makes it tricky for them.
Yeah, that makes it trickier
absolutely.
For them, for sure.
Back there, 4 or 5 days to rest and recover. They probably get one decent training session in that time, and then back on the plane for all the hoopla of Melbourne.
Which you did successfully in 05. You were in Melbourne, beat St Kilda on the Saturday, or was it the Friday night? If my memory.
Saturday, I think
it was Saturday as well.
Yeah, just trying to remember.
It was a Saturday.
You guys played in the game.
A bit hazy that whole month.
Hey, you two blokes who had died in the wool Swans blokes, at the start of the season, did you give them any hope of reaching the grand final?
I'd given them hope that they'd make the top 4. I was certainly confident that they'd make the top 4, and I remember talking about that privately. But look, I think it's a huge achievement for them to make it. I certainly thought it'd probably be a year away. Maybe 2 years away from making the grand final, but I certainly thought they'd make the top 4. So it's a great achievement from Sydney. It's a great achievement from the coaching staff and from John Longmire in his second year. But also the players, they got to take a lot of credit, because they're the team that just played their role, every individual out there. And you often hear coaches and staff and footballers and experts of football talking about it, but to actually go out and do it and play your role and do what Lewis Robertson-Thompson did tonight and try and take another player out of the game and play your role. And Craig Bird does it regularly for the Swans, and Kieran Jack often does it, and that's the type of stuff that Sydney's built a lot of their football on. And of course, yes, they've added the outside football, but the players themselves adding the play your role every week has been something that hasn't changed for the club for a long time. But I think John Longmire has added that certain outside football to them that's given them that flair and given them that attacking weapon, which is so hard to play on.
And maybe the evenness at the top end has just seen Sydney be able to get to a grand final, perhaps ahead of some of your expectations in that respect, the fact that it's been
even. That's what they are. I mean, Goods is not the superstar he once was, in my humble opinion, and they're even. And so the blokes who are 19th, 20th, the last 4 or 5 players, playing their role and doing.
I imagine as an opposition coach, it's very hard to find an area to expose in that team. They have even contributions, and one week it might be Kieran Jack and Lewis Jetta standing up. The next week it is Adam Goods and Jared McVeigh. Lewis Roberts-Thompson. So it is, in terms of their forwards, there's no standout forward who'll kick 5 or 6, so you can't really roll off and go to one player.
Can I just, Richard Keegan, how many marks inside 50 in the game tonight? Richard Keegan, our stats man.
Yeah, both teams ended up with 9 apiece at the end of the game. But the Swans kicked 3 goals from marks, and Collingwood's kicked 5 goals from marks.
And the inside 50s
overall? Inside 50s overall, Swans 50 and Collingwood 46.
But also I think the 2009 draft for the Swans was enormous, and the recruits that we got that year was huge. You know, Josh Kennedy, Shane Mumford, Benny McLean, and Lewis Jetta, Gary Rowan. You know, bar Gary Rowan, they're all out there contributing significantly tonight. You know, and the recruitment that year helped the Swans not to bottom out, you know, in a
How has Kinnear Beatson not been poached by other clubs? He is the best recycling plant in Australia.
Exactly that. but even if you look at it, I was just going through it there, there's 8 players that have only played in grand finals from Sydney, you know, so it's a huge new experience from as well, and it's a brand new thing for a lot of footballers out there, and it's going to be a great week and a great occasion for them.
Ty Kennelly, Craig Bolton, David Parking just sifting through the result here. Sydney into the grand final, beating Collingwood by 26 points. The Swans 13-18-96 to Collingwood's 10-10-70. Hopefully we'll be able to get into the Sydney rooms and hear from Lewis Roberts-Thompson in just a moment. Meanwhile, yes, in the 21st century of football, we are in Sydney, and Sydney is in to the Australian Football Grand Final. Meanwhile, in Melbourne, the Melbourne team got into the Rugby League Grand Final. The Melbourne Storm defeated Manly by 40 points to 12 in Melbourne tonight. Cooper Cronk with 2 tries, Billy Slater with 2 tries to Will Chambers, Jesse Bromwich and Kevin Proctor. Cameron Smith kicked 5 goals from 8 attempts. Gareth Widdop with 1 from 1, and for Manly the 12 points coming all from captain Jamie Lyon, who scored 2 tries and converted both goals. So the Storm 40, the Sea Eagles 12. Melbourne into the grand final, and to play the winner of South Sydney and Canterbury, who stash here tomorrow night.
There's a bit of romance if South Sydney make it. If the Rabbitohs make it to play Melbourne Storm, that'll be something. They haven't won for 40-something years?
I think 1971 was the last time that South Sydney won, and I was just having a look too. These two teams, of course, one of them was going to go through to the grand final, and they're not incredibly successful when they get there, these two clubs, historically. We know of Collingwood's history. It would have been a 42nd season where they'd made a grand final. So 41 previous seasons. They played 2 draws, so 43 grand finals all up. But of 41 seasons, they've won 15 flags when they've made the last dance. This will be Sydney's 15th season in a grand final, Sydney/South Melbourne, and they've won 4.
But on that, and Parker just gave me some stuff here.
One of 2 recently.
Two valuable ones. Sydney have won 17 of their first quarters this season, and how crucial is that going to be in the first quarter in a grand final? When a lot of players haven't played in the grand final, that's going to be enormous for them next week. They've been so good at starting games off, and in the first quarters, it'll be huge for them next weekend, next Saturday, to try and get a good start to the game.
He just had a little text from our ex-Friday night mate Peter Schwab, who was just underpinning in that text how important it is to get a good start in finals of any kind, and including grand finals, which is interesting. Thanks, Pete, if you're listening.
Thanks, Robbie, mate.
What it is continuing to underpin, though, isn't it, for as long as I've been associated with the game, the defence still dominates. We've been talking for a long while. We've got teams all over the place, particularly in front halves now, transitioning to defence like they know exactly where to go and what to do when the ball turns over and the opposition get it, and that happens, and that's pressed. We were talking about and trying to teach offensive transition, how quickly we can get people on their bike and going with the confidence that they can do that when we take possession of the ball. The most difficult thing to teach in any invasion game, whether it's hockey, soccer, European handball, water polo, that's the most difficult thing to teach. The game is still dominated, whether we like it or not, by defence, isn't it? We haven't progressed that. We want somebody like North Melbourne to go mad and kick 25 goals every week and win a premiership. It ain't going to happen.
David, let's get into the Sydney rooms, because we've got Craig Bird with us on the line. Craig, thanks for your time. Quentin Hull, Drew Morfitt, Craig Bolton, David Park and Ty Kennelly with you. You're going to the grand final, Craig. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Pretty pumped at the moment. As you can imagine, all the boys are pretty excited about next week.
Birdie, Craig Bolton here, mate. Terrific work tonight. Congratulations on getting there next week. You were just a young pup growing up, mate, when we made it in 05 and 06, and you were developing and coming through the Swans pathway. How exciting is it now for you to finally get there and get a taste of it yourself?
Yeah, it's unreal. Obviously, as you said, I was only about 15, 16 when you blokes made the granny, and just seeing you guys win the premiership was just unreal. And now I've had a few years in the system. It's just great to finally make the grand final weekend after a few years in the semis.
And how about your own game, Bertie? It seems this year you've grown another leap. You've taken on quite a few run-with roles, and you're doing your job for the team, but also offensively having a huge impact. Can you put it down to anything, your development this year, and why you've taken your game to that next level?
I think I took a big step forward last year with just with the tagging roles, and this year I think I just added another string to the bow, been able to go forward and kick a few goals when the team needs me. I'm just happy to play whatever role the team needs me to play, whether that's through the midfield or whether that's up forward, and playing those defensive roles or the two-way roles.
Hey Bertie, Tyke here. Well done, mate. Congrats. Just wondering if you've got any spare tickets around for next Saturday for me.
How much are you offering, mate?
He's got plenty, so he'll pay you.
No, well done, mate. How's the body? Actually, you've had a few little niggly injuries this year as well. How is it?
Yeah, good, mate. Surprisingly, I'm feeling better as towards the end of the year. I had a bit of groin soreness in the middle of the year, but I've got on top of that and got through the game all right, so I'll be feeling fresh going into next week.
And can you tell the guys what's it like to be playing alongside Jude Bolton, playing his 300th game tonight?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Just the way he goes about his footy. I've never seen a harder player on the footy field, and it's just a privilege to be out there with him, and it was great to go to the line for him.
Craig, what did you do differently compared to the last time you played Collingwood or the last times you've played Collingwood? Was it a matter of something structurally or tactically that was different, or you just had a better night?
I think we did a few structural things a bit different. We were able to make their defenders a bit more accountable tonight and make those blokes like Shaw and Reid really play on the forwards and really hurt them. And I think the midfield did a great job tonight and really got on top. And I think we ended up stacking with the contested footy. I think we won by about 30, and that goes a long way to winning the game, winning the contested footy.
Craig, you talked about getting a job. Now, you were given a job at the start tonight, and that didn't change. Did you stay with the same pattern, you yourself, in the structure?
I mixed around a little bit tonight. I played a bit on Heath Shaw as a defensive forward, and went through the midfield a bit as well. Just great taking those roles, but mainly on Shaw tonight.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit different. As in, he's an unusual player to play against, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a great player. He just runs so well for half-back line, so you've got to be very accountable and just try and hurt him when you can. But, it goes a long way to win a game if you shut him down.
And, Bertie, one of the things we'll be watching closely this week is Benny McGlynn. How's he been coming along in the last week? Is he on track? Has his recovery been coming along well?
Yeah, I think he's going pretty well. He's up and running at the moment. I'm not sure how quick he's going, but he's pretty positive. He'll be right this week, and we'll see how he goes on the training track this week. But it'll be a great bonus to have him in the team next week.
And Ted Richards played a great game, but he was hobbling. How's he?
Yeah, no, he's hobbling a little bit. I'm not too sure what's wrong with him, but he said he'll be right for next week. So hopefully he pulls up all right and gets on top of whatever nickel he's got. And he's such a vital player for us, we really need him next week.
And Craig, I'm assuming Bondi tomorrow morning for recovery. That's pretty much where you go, or Coogee, one of those beaches. What's the plan for when Hawthorn and Adelaide start stoushing at about 5 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm not too sure.